And here we go. We're here for number 11, The Spot. We got Tyler Michaels, a.k.a. Tyler Michaels.
AKA lots of other names, but
Tyler Michaels.
No,
Guy with
no.
two
AKA
first names.
Michaels.
Never trust him.
Don't trust this guy.
Don't trust
Middle
him.
name is James, though, so
Ah.
it cancels out. Just so you know.
No, that's even worse.
Now I don't want to talk to you at all. All right, let's cancel this podcast.
All right, it's over.
Yeah, rewind. Done.
That's it. And that post that onto YouTube. Just that
Just that, yeah. This
30
kid has
seconds.
Three
of just
first names.
Three first
It's
names.
over.
We just realized it now.
Yeah.
We're gonna say fuck it.
Invite guy with 3 first names on podcast. Cancel 5 seconds in.
Check that one off the bucket list.
And he's Colin Berardini's cousin, so we kind of made a
shit.
deal with Colin that
that
we'd bring him on. So
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
I mean, we really wanted
it's that
Colin
too,
again,
so.
but he's like, dude, you got to put my cousin on before I'll even
Yeah.
consider it.
At
So
least he
you're
takes
right.
care of the
I
family.
didn't even know you guys were.
guess.
I didn't even know you were related until right
Yeah.
this minute. Look at that.
don't
Learned
know.
something new.
No.
I didn't know until like a week ago or two when he told me.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah. I don't know. We're not that close. It's more of like
So-
see a family event kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Do you know how to play the guitar?
I feel like I slightly slept through lessons in middle school. Like, so no.
So no.
No.
You played in middle school though.
With what was the name of that music teacher? I don't know. We learned in class though, and
Yeah.
slept right through it.
Cool.
Yeah. Miss Steves, yeah. Emily Post.
Emily Post.
Emily
Shout out
Post.
to behind the scenes of this Jake Brasky, who's watching live. You know,
Yeah, the audience.
the audience.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Keeps. Yeah, security. Can we calm the audience down,
Hold him,
please?
hold him in check. Hold him in check. No, but the real reason we wanted to have Tyler on is because I don't know. I feel like he's a smart dude. He's a funny guy, even though he likes soccer. He's a flip fairy,
Wow.
but he's a good guy. And he's moving to Boston soon, so I wanted to have him on before
Boston, Quincy
the
Market.
spot becomes the
Some by
most
the
popular
habit.
thing.
Wicked smart.
Yeah, wicked.
Look at smart.
Get that accent.
It's so funny too, because
With Southie.
the people that I've met that are like from Boston, they do say wicked all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, that
Wicked.
is a real thing.
Wicked pisser.
Wicked
Yeah.
smart.
Not necessarily the accent, but definitely you say wicked, like all of them. Like, what the fuck?
Wicked chowder.
Yeah,
just
clam
can't wait
chowder
to
down
eat
at
the
Clam
Quincy Market.
chowder. Quincy Market.
Wicked smart.
You ever seen The Town?
Yeah. Good movie, man.
Great movie. Dude, that movie has been running. I don't even know what the network is, but I've seen it like the last 3 nights now. It's just running from like 9 to 3 in the morning, and every time I'm like, I gotta watch it. It's on.
FX?
I don't know if it was FX. Yeah, it
It's
might
like
be.
the usual
Or
place for those kind of
IMB
movies.
or whatever that is, that station.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's a good movie. I mean, they robbed Fenway. That's kind of crazy. It's
Well,
like,
that's where it
whoa,
all
they're
goes
ballsy.
that's where it all goes wrong for them is when they rob Fenway.
Yeah, they go
broke ass
Spoiler
movie.
alert, in case you haven't seen The Town.
But they were crushing it. They were crushing it.
They were.
I mean, it's a movie.
It's
Yeah.
based
Let's be
on.
realistic.
It's like
It
based
was
on,
so
though,
cool.
No, I thought it was based on real stuff.
it's
though,
based
right?
on the fact that like that town, whatever it's called,
Charleston.
Charleston. Yeah, actually had a
Charlestown.
lot of
Southie.
like theft going on back then,
Well,
like
you-
bank robberies and shit.
You ever seen The Departed?
Yes,
The guy that Leonardo plays in the movie, he's from Southie too. So
DiCaprio. Oh yeah.
Criminals in there, man.
yeah, it's like one of the most
What are you,
notoriously
I'm gonna have to lock
criminal
my door.
places
What are you on your
in the
period or
country.
something?
It's a diuretic. My wife drinks it when she's on her period. What are you on your period or something?
It's on my yeah, he just gets so
That
pissed.
dude, that cast in that movie is incredible. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, you know,
Jack
like when
Nicholson.
was it Jack Nichols pulls out the gun on Leonardo? Leonardo didn't know that was going to happen. He just pulled out a gun, and like that was his real reaction, like that whole scene, which is pretty.
Well,
nuts.
which is great that he's like good at like just going with it, because in Django when he cuts his hand,
Yeah,
and
the
that was
same
real
thing,
blood, that was supposed to
yeah.
happen. He goes
Yeah.
like all that surprise on those people's faces, like in the room, was genuine
Real.
surprise. They're like, "What the fuck?" And he just
Yeah.
kept rolling with it. And he actually puts his blood.
Yeah,
Like,
you
on
got to
the-
be like this
on
dude's
the
a
slaves,
psychopath.
yeah.
Man.
He's a great actor.
Oh,
he's
He's one of the best.
incredible,
He's one of the best, if not the best, of our generation.
Took a
Yeah.
little long to get a Grammy or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh, the
but
Oscar,
yeah,
yeah,
but you
that's
look at his
bullshit.
performances. I think that's bullshit, dude. He's got some good movies.
He
man.
went up against him. It just so happened like when he was on those tears, like
Yeah,
he went up against him. Like when he didn't win, when he did the Wolf of Wall Street, I thought that was a chance, but that was also when like Dallas Buyers Club was there and McConaughey
Yeah.
won it.
No,
that
yeah,
year,
there's always
which
other
was
good
just like
movies.
an incredible movie.
But you look
So-
at his resume. So what do we got
Oh,
here?
He's got a better resume than
What's
anybody.
Eating Gilbert Grape?
which
is
is
a great
great.
movie.
Do you
Great
even be able
movie.
to like
Yeah.
act?
He didn't
that
go
way
full
that young?
retard. All right, he went.
You got Titanic.
Or I'm sorry, using the R
Is
word.
that allowed
but
on? Is that allowed
yeah,
on
right.
the
Well,
podcast?
what? Because they say I'm trying to reference what is it? Tropic Thunder. When he says it, he goes, "No, you want." Is that the movie? No, not Tropic.
Full
Drop the
retard?
Hard R?
No, I can't remember.
Ah, what the movie? He was making fun of
The Ringer.
No. What the hell's his name? What's the actor's name? The guy's always in National Treasure. Not National Treasure.
It's
fucking,
definitely not
Night at
Treasure.
a Museum. That museum movie where things come alive.
Night at
Night at the
Museum.
Museum.
Yeah, but what's
Ben
the actor?
Stiller.
Ben Stiller.
Ben
Yeah.
Stiller, yeah.
He's in that movie and like he plays a guy who's like mentally.
Ben Stiller?
Yeah,
In Night at
but
the
like
Museum?
no. He plays in
Zoolander?
this movie. I think it might be.
Zoolander. Because
No.
that kind of does sound like him in Zoolander.
No, but it's like a joke because he's like a movie within the movie. Like it's not even an actual. Like it's not. He doesn't actually play somebody who's mentally like
Wow.
challenged in the movie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a movie within a movie, and they joke with him going, no, like Tom Hanks didn't go full.
Full
they said you didn't
retard,
go
yeah,
full
full
retard
retard,
in what was the name of that?
Forrest
movie?
Gump.
In Forrest Gump, yeah, because the dude won a Heisman. Like obviously he didn't go full retard. He's like that couldn't have happened.
He won a
Like they're like
Heisman.
making fun of. It's just like, but he's like, but you did. You went full out.
You want
He
to
goes,
talk about a human
I'm pretty
being,
sure it's Tropic
Forrest Gump.
Thunder.
That dude's an animal.
Called in Watergate, won a Heisman, won
Oh,
the
yeah, we
ping
were-
pong Olympics.
Well, we were debating this with the greatest fantasy, or no, we were doing. I think it was the one with Jake, the podcast. We were talking
Yeah.
about the greatest, like, fictitious sport character like of all time. Because you have
Probably
him, you have Benny the
Forrest
Jet.
No, it was
Well,
could Forrest Gump be stopped by Bobby Boucher if Bobby thought that Forrest said something bad about his mama?
yeah,
But Forrest really wanted to go home. It was like, could
Yeah, but-
Forrest be stopped
yeah, it was
by
really-
Bobby Boucher? Because you've seen The Waterboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, another great one. But
My mom said- no, but Leonardo. I mean, Titanic, Gangs of New York, Inception,
I just
right?
watched Gangs of New York
Inception,
a little while ago.
Django, Departed,
Even
his newest
Django,
one
The
now,
Departed,
Reverend.
The Reverend,
Uh,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Inception.
Or is it
Yeah, we said Inception.
We already said
But who plays Bill the
Gatsby,
Butcher?
the great
Gatsby.
Gatsby.
Yeah, he wasn't bad in that.
No, he did great in
Great
that. I
Gatsby.
He wasn't
thought.
bad
He
in
was
that.
perfect for
He was
that
really good.
role of Jay Gatsby.
Yeah,
Like, that
I
is
don't
the
like
character.
either of the movies because Robert Redford did one a long time ago.
He did do one a long time.
Catch
I
Me
mean,
If You
they're
Can,
just
Jake
trying to
just
do the
Catch Me If You Can is good.
But
obviously the books.
Daniel Day Lewis plays Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York. Dude, he's a really good actor.
Because he also what is Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln in the movie Lincoln.
Is he Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you ever
And
seen
those are two
Wow.
completely
There Will Be
different roles.
Blood?
How he asks.
No.
How he
that
acts.
is a really good performance. His performance in There Will Be Blood is up there with me, like Heath Ledger's in The Dark Knight. Like it's,
Really? Like
That's
that
still
good?
my all-time.
but
favorite.
Heath
it out.
Ledger's is still my all-time favorite as well.
That's incredible.
Dude, he was great. Have you ever watched the documentary of him on Netflix?
I
didn't
know.
know
It's
there
on
was
Netflix.
one.
I don't know if it's on Netflix, but it's good, dude. He was.
We'll also just completely forget the fact that him and Jake Gyllenhaal were also actors and two gay guys in Brokeback Mountain. It's like, how do you
He
go
was the
from
other
that?
one?
Yeah, he was the other. It was
I didn't
Heath
know he was
Ledger
the
and
other
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wow.
Yeah, not even kidding. Heath Ledger was in that. That's one of the gay.
What you do for art,
gay
man? You
cowboy.
gotta do.
I'm not judging. I should wipe. We gotta edit this.
No, I'm not judging it at all. Just like you
We,
would not
we edit
expect
this
that
out.
role to go into like. It's almost like how not Owen Wilson. What the fuck's his name? McConaughey used to
Ooh,
just be in
wow.
all those like love stories, like early in his career, like all those like girly romance type things where he was
Yeah.
just the token like good looking dude. And-
Rom coms.
yeah, but then he all of a sudden turns into like this serious actor with big time roles where he's actually killing it. Like
I heard a joke the other day. It was Dylan told me it. It goes, and he didn't even get it, which was the best part. He goes, so my teacher told us this joke that she thought it was going to be funny. So Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, and Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese, and Matthew McConaughey get together. They want to make a movie. Leonardo DiCaprio says, "I'll act." Martin Scorsese says, "I'll direct." Matt McConaughey says, "All right, all right, all right." I was like, "Dylan, do you know what that means?" And he was just like, "No,"
of
but
course
everybody
not.
thought it was funny, so we laughed. And I was just
how
like,
old?
"Oh my
how
God."
old's Dylan?
10.
Yeah, so they went bad for the teacher to think that 10-year-olds would understand
pick
that
up on
reference.
that. Yeah.
Right, because like that was like he doesn't even do that in his movies anymore.
No.
Like that was earlier. That was
That
like
his first
line.
line.
I didn't even
though,
know
Oh,
that
that
was
was
him
his-
until
his
like
first
That was,
recently.
like,
line
always,
in all
like-
movies.
Yeah, like all those like love stories. That's all he would be like. All right, all right, all
All
right.
right, all
Yeah,
right,
but like now he doesn't do that anymore because like that's what he became known for. So he's like, no, I'm not gonna do
He
that.
pulls it out every once in a while, dude.
He probably
still-
his
I can see
acceptance
it.
speeches and stuff like that. And you'll end him off. With,
Yeah. You
Well,
let it
that's-
out.
yeah.
all right. Yeah, dude, I got a joke for you. I got a little raunchy. So I was trying to find this hooker. No money. Trying to, free sex. I don't have any money, but I want the sex. So she goes, yeah, only if you give me 12 inches and make me bleed. So I stuck it in her twice and punched her in the nose.
Jesus.
and then free sex.
Oh,
We can
my
edit that one. We can
No,
edit that
keep
out.
that.
We can
I'm
edit
gonna
that out.
lead off
It's a
a
joke.
promo
Oh, no.
of this podcast with that line.
Yes.
Just you
Oh.
saying that.
Yes.
That's my
Yes.
pro.
Alright.
You gotta watch this. I'm gonna just take a
Look for the
snippet of that.
tagline.
Be like, watch this come on Monday. Just you saying that.
Oh, I just got fired from my new job.
They're gonna see and be like, yeah, you know, I'm on podcasts and shit. Be like, actually, don't watch
No,
the
don't-
podcast.
don't
Please
check
don't
that
watch
out. Yeah,
that.
don't
Don't
check
judge
that
me.
I'm actually super jealous of you, but I'm not because I couldn't move to Pittsburgh. But I would love to move to Boston. I love Boston. Every time I go there, I love it.
What company are you gonna be working for?
I will be working for Carlisle and Company. So we are a management consulting firm in the automotive industry.
Okay.
And like my little tagline for what like management consulting is usually like a doctor for companies.
Mm-hmm.
Go in, solve a problem, and then give a cure. That kind of thing. So
So what will your role be? Like, what's your title?
I will be I think it's an associate, but associate consultant basically is what.
And
I'll
so
start off
usually,
as.
like when you start out in any firm, like they always give you like the associate.
Yeah.
Like that's my title
basic
too.
title. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that'll
I'm
be cool.
excited about it. Yeah, so like a lot of the time, I might not even live in Boston. I'll go there. That'll be like my home base.
Right.
But then I'll live like 6 months in New York or 6 months in Europe or anything like that.
Oh, so you'll
Oh,
be
shit.
traveling
yeah,
a lot.
I won't even live in Boston.
Damn,
yeah.
good for you,
Yeah,
man.
I'm
Good
excited
for
about
you.
it.
That's awesome. You're a smart
Nice.
guy. You're gonna do fine with it.
Yeah.
Do you follow the stock market at all?
So I'm partly running a finance club at school. So half my life is devoted to it.
Didn't it just take another big hit the other day?
All right, so it's all bullshit. All right.
What's all bullshit?
The whole volatility of it all. The volatility is occurring because the Federal Reserve is increasing interest rates while at the same time we're experiencing expansionary economics through the tax cut. So it's two conflicting messages coming from.
So if they're increasing interest rates, doesn't that mean that they kind of want to decrease the money flow, right? Because
Yes.
I have to take a test on this as well. I've been studying.
if you want me to, I'll do the test for you. But
I would
Just kidding.
love
Allstate.
to do
Zach.
that,
Wink,
but
wink,
I
sticky
can't.
bull.
oh,
Test.
Allstate, no, he's doing the test.
No, I'm doing the test. I would love to do that, but I can't,
wink.
unfortunately. Fun fact: he actually used to work for Allstate.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
sold
go.
insurance in high school. You know, I'm an
He
Allstate
worked.
guy.
You were an LSP for Keith, right?
No, for
Andrew.
no, Jason Giuliano.
Oh,
Magic Man Giuliano.
Isn't he
Nice.
city manager here now in Batavia? What?
No
Giuliano?
way,
Am I
is he
thinking somebody
really?
else?
He owned
Or
the
no, am I thinking
agency.
Molino?
So there were
Maybe
two
not. Maybe
agencies.
Molino.
No, he
Yeah.
owned. Jason owned.
The one by CVS.
Yeah, on the other side, but he.
Or Rite Aid,
Um,
whatever that is.
I don't really know what's going on. I guess he's.
Is he out?
I don't know.
I don't
I don't really know what's going on with
You
him.
know, like his
I'm thinking of
backstory
somebody
though.
different.
Like
No, I've
the-
never really talked to
the
Jason.
magician. Dude was a magician since like 13, and like he did Luke's birthday party one year when he was like 16. He did Luke's birthday party. Dude was like a pro magician from early on.
Luke McComb.
No, Jason Giuliano, no. I wish Luke was a magician.
I thought you meant Luke's birthday party.
Oh no, he did. Yeah, he did
Yeah.
Luke's birthday.
That's
party.
what I was saying,
Yeah,
Luke's
oh,
birthday
yeah,
party.
Yeah, yeah,
That would be
McComb's
hilarious.
birthday party.
Oh man, that's great.
I was like, oh, that's
Luke's, yeah.
Cheese.
Big
Cheese.
secret
Cheese.
coming
I
out
thought
now.
we
Big
liked
cheddar.
it. Dumpster. It's from. What was that from? Old School.
Dude, I've never,
Never
seen
seen
Old
it.
School.
I've never seen it
I
either.
really feel like I'm like
I've
You-
never
missing
seen
out
it
on
either.
something.
Yeah.
You
People reference
you
it all the
love
time
that
now.
humor.
Oh,
I know
die
you love
for it.
that Will Ferrell
Oh.
humor.
Love the guy.
So that's one of those. Vince Vaughn's in it. He's great.
Anything with Vince Vaughn.
Luke
dude,
Wilson's
man.
in it. He's great.
Shout out
I
to
figured
Wedding
so.
Crashers.
Yeah,
Vince Vaughn.
I watched
That's
that the
a
other
great
day, yeah.
movie.
Great
That's-
movie.
It makes me die.
We
laughing
always
every
used to
time.
quote the other guys
Yeah.
Big on
in
Yeah.
high school. We would always
That's a
quote
great
the other
movie,
guys.
God,
too.
let me fly on this one, man. God, let me fly. I love when they do like the
Zach,
whole.
when'd you do your first desk pop? September 08?
I did my first desk pop. What? What are you talking about? That's not a thing. Or like when they talk about the Lions.
Good.
You know, we have a taste for the lion and we like it. Build a kelp apparatus. We're not
I
talking
will
days.
construct-
A couple hours. That's all we need. Like, oh
I will
man.
construct a series of breathing apparatus.
You're trying to tell me a lion's gonna go off the coast of Africa and go against a 600-pound tuna? Gonna lose that battle 9 times out of 10.
The first time I saw that movie, I didn't like it, and then I watched
What?
it again, and I was like, "Yo, this movie's hysterical."
Dude, my favorite part is like the low-key supporting roles of Samuel Jackson and fucking The Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, like when they just die.
It'd be good.
Let's jump off this building.
You know what I'm
Move.
thinking? Aim for the
Aim for
bushes.
the bushes, yeah.
You ever seen the Will Ferrell one with Kevin Hart when he's going to jail or whatever? Get hard, yeah.
Oh yeah, I actually did see that. That was fucking hilarious.
Take all my money.
That's great.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
And then like eventually he learns like how to like make a shiv and stuff like that. And I can't remember what it's called, but like when you stick it up your ass to like conceal it, he sticks
Oh.
up like 5 shivs up his ass.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Yeah.
That a soup kitchen in the back of your Prius.
Oh shit, it's the cops.
Dirty Mike and the
When it
boys.
gets
Oh
covered
my
in
God.
coke.
It looks like Scarface sneezed in here. No, it's a good movie, dude. There's an alternate ending where you know when they're walking down the street
Yeah.
talking to Heather Locklear, Derek Jeter is dressed like a homeless person and he's incognito, and he goes, "Yo, there's a
Should've
conspiracy.
shot A-Rod.
You were set up." That's what he says. You were set up, Terry. He goes, "You were set up to shoot me." He goes, "This goes way up, man." He's like, "I'm gonna let you know about this, dude." It's hysterical. It's
I
an
gotta
alternate
watch
ending.
that.
It's really funny.
Speaking of alternate endings, did you know that there's supposed to be an alternate, or there was an alternate ending in Rocky Part 2, in the second one, Rocky 2?
I just found that out the other day. I
Yeah.
saw it on an
What
Instagram
is
post.
it?
Said, obviously, the one you know is when he's talking there. He goes, into my wife who's at home, Adrian, I did it, and he puts it up. But in the alternate one, Adrian is actually there with him, and he like picks her up and holds her, and like she holds the belt and sticks it up. But I don't know how they would I don't know, because obviously in the second one she's sick, and that's why she didn't go. Like she got sick through the pregnancy and everything, and Rocky wasn't training and blah blah blah. So I don't know how that part would have changed. Like, does she still get sick or not?
Yeah.
Like, is she sick and she like recovers and is good enough to go with him? Like, I don't know how that part.
Well,
plays
that's
out.
awesome though, because dude, that's one of the most famous things.
Yeah.
Like anytime I
Yo,
see
Adrian,
someone with the name
I
Adrian,
did
I think,
it.
"Yo, Adrian, I did it."
Yeah, so
Like,
it's a good thing.
that's-
It's crazy
yeah.
that wouldn't even have happened because she would have been there.
you
Yo,
ever been to
people.
I have, but it was.
I've only been
a
to the
long
airport.
So, I was there when I was 5, and I was a what? Yeah, Jesus Christ! I almost said flower boy, ring bearer for
Flower
my
boy.
my cousin's wedding, and like I don't really remember much of it. I remember a little bit of the one. I was like 5 or 6. And apparently I saw the Liberty Bell. Don't remember it, but that's like the thing to
You
do
were
when you go to
there.
Philly.
Yeah, dude, I
Supposed to
ran
visit it.
the steps, the Rocky steps.
The steps.
Dude, when you go there, there's at least 20 people at one time running those steps like Rocky. dude.
Yeah.
It's just a craze.
Well, don't they have?
They have a little
like
statue
steps?
for him. And
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
That's so sick.
He's the man.
I
mean,
always
there's a
wanted to go
bunch of
there,
those
but
statues, though.
I've only been to the airport. I've never been in the city.
Dude, the cheesesteaks really are no joke.
Oh,
Like,
really? Never
you,
had
you
one?
get them somewhere else, but like you get them in Philly, it's Philly cheesesteak.
Don't go see a football game though if you're rooting for the other team.
No,
They're
not
like
a big deal.
notoriously bad. Like their fans, they used to be even worse. They actually had jail cells in the old stadium. I believe that they had.
Too wild.
No, oh seriously, and they would
Wow.
contain like actually like arrest people because like no joke, like people would like throw bottles and stuff at
For
like people's other
batteries.
teams.
For batteries and rocks. Those are like
Yeah,
the
oh,
two
yeah.
big things
They'll
that
throw
they're
like
known for.
beer cans and like at other people. Like there's other team like fan bases that come and be like, yeah, people are, like spitting on me. Like
Yeah.
they're like awful to like opposing fan bases.
Brotherly love is tough.
Yeah,
man.
City. How ironic. But yeah, it's like I think it's like just the Eagles too. Like I don't think they have that problem at Sixers games.
Have you ever
I
been
don't know.
to like a Bills game as another fan though? Like,
Yeah, I went
and
no
you're-
14 when they played
Cool.
the Packers. Cause
Dude,
I'm,
I've seen a guy with. I was back when Vic was on the Falcons. He was on the Falcons.
Oh,
right?
okay,
Am I crazy?
yeah, Michael Vick, yeah.
way
Yeah.
back.
before
way
the
back, yeah.
pre-dogfighting Michael Vick.
Pre-dog fighting. Yeah.
Or dogfighting
You know.
Michael Vick.
In
Yeah,
his prime of dog fighting. Yeah, when he
Yeah.
was making the big money. But so a guy was walking up the stairs. Milkshake comes across, slaps him in the face, dude. Like just tons of stuff coming at this guy. But
yeah, no, but when I went though, we were in the Kelly Club, so it didn't really.
get wild.
And actually, it was funny because one thing about Packer fans, they're notorious. Them and the Steelers are like two fan bases that travel incredibly well.
yeah.
So my whole row actually was just Packer fans. The row in front of me was a bunch of Packer fans. Like everybody around me was really Packer. Now, we
Yeah,
didn't
throw
try and
some
go with a
elbows.
bunch of other Packer fans. I mean, granted, at that time in the season, Green Bay was competing for the 1 seed in the NFC, and the Bills were like statistically in it, but like they had to have like a ridiculous
The
scenario.
classic
to win.
thing every year where it's like, if this happens and that happens,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
in.
And this year
Right.
finally it did happen for him, but at that
Dude, it was
time,
big, man.
Crazy that it didn't happen any other time throughout the 17 years.
yeah, they're It's just they're in a
was
weird.
so
They were always, the Bills have been in football purgatory for forever. Well, they were before they finally got in this year, where they're in a place where they're not bad enough to be like top 5 pick, but they're not good enough to be in the playoffs, and that's like the worst place you could be stuck in.
Yeah.
Because now you're gonna get mid-round picks, and you're not really getting that franchise guy at the quarterback at least. But you're not bad. Like you're just consistently mediocre, and that's a tough place to be in. You either want, in my opinion, to be good where you're consistent being in, or you want to be bad so you can build that up.
What
I mean,
about
look at the
Browns
Jaguars.
bad? Do you want to be the Browns bad?
Okay, that's a different level of atrocious. The Bills are not Browns bad. They never have been. The Browns are their own separate kind of level of fucked up. Of how terrible that franchise is. Granted, I think you're going to see some changes, and they better not listen to Mel Kiper and draft.
Do you remember how bad the Devil Rays used to be?
They want him to get that dude out of Wyoming. No, who the fuck's that guy? Why? Allen, maybe? Josh Allen. Definitely
He's tall.
He's
got
tall,
big
and
hands.
he's got. Here's the problem with me. There's been a ton of quarterbacks that had strong arms. Michael Vick had a powerful arm too. Problem with Vick was he could run, but he wasn't that accurate, and that's why his career to me was so up and down. You got to be accurate, man. You have to have some level of accuracy. I'm not saying you got to be like pinpoint, but when you have a 6 or 49% completion percentage in college in the fucking Mountain West, that's not good at all. And accuracy to me is one of those things where I'm a believer that you either kind of got it or you don't.
Well, that's
you can't
what
really
Brady
teach
does.
that. Brady's super accurate.
that's what he does. He
Breeze
just
is
works
literally
it
the
slow down the
most
field like
accurate
that.
quarterback in NFL history statistically. Rodgers is a consistent 60 to 65%, which is good, which is really good. But Rosen, to me, the best guy in that draft is that Josh Rosen, man. I really think I like him better than Darnold. I just think he's got all of it. I don't know why. I don't know if Kuiper's just there's conspiracies to that, Kuiper gets bribed to put certain names at places to try and influence teams. Does he just hate the Browns then? Is he trying to get him a power arm guy that has no accuracy?
Well, Josh Allen came
fail?
out with that video where he was on his knees at the 50-yard line and spotted the
And
goalpost.
Jamarcus Russell has done that before too, and we all saw how that panned out. He had a power arm with little accuracy, and we all saw how he was.
But
he was
right
a
after
huge
that,
bust.
he was put at number 1 in the mock draft, and he was also put on a number 21. He was on there twice. They were just so in on him.
Yeah, no, he's. I mean, they have the 1 and the 4 pick in this draft, and they have a really good GM now. I mean, I'm gonna be a little biased because I'm a Packer fan, but Dorsey was an ex-Packer guy that did well with the Chiefs, that helped build that Chiefs team up before they let him go.
Packers,
Alonzo
all over the world.
Highsmith and Elliott Wolf are all Packers execs that they have now that did really well with Green Bay, helped build them into what those playoff teams that
I think
were
he's
on
going
the
to
team.
name his dog Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is a god amongst mere mortals. All right, we're not worthy.
How
I'm
do you
not
feel
worthy.
about him and Danica Patrick, though? That's a weird mix.
I mean, I
Are
don't
you worried
really
about
care.
her affecting him with his, with her crystals? She's real into crystals.
She's
and
real into,
shit.
yeah, but Rodgers is weird like that too. He's
he's-
super
yeah,
into he's they say he's a smart guy, but he's has different interests too. He's not like Brady, mentally like that. Brady's football, Giselle, football, my kids,
My
football, football. Oh,
My
I'm getting
son,
old,
Giselle.
proving people wrong. Rodgers just what the fuck? He's nah, I'm just. But anyway.
Well, he's got that porn mustache.
He's
that's
got
why.
the. Oh, I love it when he goes every freaking spring or every training camp. He goes handlebar, porn stash. It's just, it's great. Well, because he did that and because they have a joke where a day they all dress have this theme where they dress up. And one year he was just this ridiculous cowboy and he had the fucking handlebar mustache. It was great. It's one of the best things you can find on the internet. Hilarious.
You guys watch any of the Olympics?
A little bit. Not
Olympic
as much as I
people?
should.
Only curling.
So
Curling, dude.
Dude, I am so into curling now.
Yeah,
I'm hardcore into curling.
What I think is hilarious about the curling, though, it just looks like a group of dads that just went out there and said, you know what, let's go win a gold medal today.
Yeah, let's throw a rock
Let's
down
find,
some ice real
let's find
quick.
maybe the least athletic thing we can find go into the Olympics.
Get right off the couch and get out there, man. It's a common man's game.
Yeah, that and the women's hockey team, man. They did it. They got gold.
Dr. Salmon coached the defensive right wing or something like that that played on the team. She did 3rd in the shootout.
Wow.
So, yeah, small world, but
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was listening to a little segment on Joe Rogan this morning.
Yeah.
From the other day. I forgot what guest it was, and he was saying how the Olympics are fucked up because those companies that go in and build those stadiums
and then they're gone.
they don't pay, the athletes don't get paid anything. They make hundreds of millions, probably tens if not hundreds
They
of
treat
millions
them almost
of
like
dollars.
the college athletes. They get, 'cause
like
it's
if you look what they
considered amateur,
did-
well, even though it's not. I mean, they want to think if it's more like amateurs playing. But
If
it's
you
like,
think of like what they did in
it's a
Argentina,
scam.
like dude, they just left like these fucking stands and shit up, and like
Yeah.
it looks like a ghost town. It looks like
yeah, look
Nuketown
at
on Call of Duty.
look at Sochi. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
look at Sochi. It's the same thing. Like they show it's a really big problem.
Like, you know how much money Pepsi and
And it-
Coke and all them
Well,
make
there's a
from this
big
shit?
thing with Russia because they tore down like multiple like urban little developments to build that stuff, and now it's just an empty city of where like dogs run it.
Yeah,
Like just patch
Yeah,
of dogs.
yeah,
yeah, it's
just
insane.
having more dogs and just
Yeah,
That's
just
why you don't have
hanging
that.
out in the hotel. Where all
and it's
the
and
Olympics
it's gonna be
are.
interesting too now to see like because all these obviously we're in they're in South Korea right now, but there's more like Asian cities that they're gonna be into. I believe like Tokyo, I think's the next one
2020.
for,
Moving around.
for
Nice.
2020. So it's just like I mean I get it because at the time when they were doing all these like the economy and stuff was rising and growing in these towns and it would help them in Asia. But now we'll see how it goes because like if you go into the U.S. like they're not, it's not going to be like some abandoned like town in like
Yeah.
Vegas. Like it's going to be taken care of just because that's how the
So
Or
U.S.
go back to
does
like
it.
Lake Placid or something like that.
You're
Or
right.
Go back to somewhere
Do you
it's already
believe in
been.
miracles?
Do you believe in miracles? Yes. But I do want to go back, talk about the economy quick, to the Federal Reserve. I don't really
Please
know
do.
that much about the Federal Reserve. I know
No, I
that
don't either.
everybody
Nobody
thinks.
does.
I just want to say one thing. I know that everybody, and it's because I thought this until yesterday when I heard this, that you think that they're part of the government, but it's not. It's like a private company. Is that true? And give me your take on the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, so it's a separate entity, without like any sort of regulations or stuff like that. I think from Congress they do need something.
They don't get audited. I know
No,
that much,
they don't get
which is
audited.
very, as an accountant, that's very suspicious to me if nothing's getting audited.
It's
So
upsetting for your profession.
yes, I'm very like that's suspicious as hell. But
Someone's not going through those numbers. I
Yeah.
swear to God.
Let's think about it. Like,
as a 3-week
So
auditing intern, one time, no, that is suspicious.
Well, there's three major functions to them. They have increasing the Federal Reserve rate, which is what they charge to banks to hold on to their money.
Mm-hmm.
Two is sort of like quantitative easing. You guys know what quantitative easing is? Like, they always talk
Actually
about
don't
it,
know.
but it's
no.
nobody knows what it means. So what happened was during the 2008 thing, where everybody fucked up. They
The
bought
housing
they
bubble?
bought all
Yeah.
the housing loans and all the stuff like that. The government bought them. So they're like,
Mhm.
let's take them out of the market. We'll hold on to them. You guys figure out your shit. So with quantitative easing, the whole point is to slowly bring those loans back into the market to get them off the Fed's balance sheet. That's essentially what
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
And then the third.
And then the third is they raise bond rates, but then they also raise one other kind of rate. I can't remember what it is.
So if you're raising bond rates and interest rates, that means that you want to decrease the money supply. Why do you want to decrease the money supply? Why do they want to do that right
Inflation,
now?
yeah, I was gonna
Why?
say,
Because it's a
decrease
very
inflation.
inflation-ish,
Yeah, so-
inflammatory,
So the
whatever
more
the word
that
is right now.
Inflammatory.
me.
Today, Junior.
Inflation occurs though because people get too aggressive with money, and banks will just start. You can just print money. Basically, that's the whole concept. Is anytime you need it, you just print
Wait,
it.
but I thought you can't do that because like supply and demand. That's what I was always told. You can't
Yeah.
just print money.
So there's
Well, because the theory was you were supposed to have something backing it up, like gold, but like that's not how.
Wasn't
it
that taken
is
off like
anymore.
100 years ago?
Yeah,
taken
so I
off.
mean, that was the
early
original
1900s,
idea.
Yeah, the
Dude,
gold standard.
Yeah,
If you ever read
it's
what
not backed
Wood-
by gold anymore.
Woodrow Wilson was the president when like the Federal Reserve was created and instituted. You ever read like what he said about it? Like a year or two later, like he was like super upset about it. Like he regretted it.
Well, you know who like actually wanted it was.
Wasn't Rockefeller?
It was, I think it was Hamilton or somebody
Rockefeller.
else.
Can you imagine if those
Like, it
guys
was
were still
early-
around
it was a
today?
very
the
Oh,
early-
so it was
businesses
Hamilton, the
had?
Federal,
It was
Federal
a
Bank.
it was a very early concept. But it went through a couple of different phases. Where
But he was like super upset about it. He was like, I just signed our country over. I'm gonna have to find the quote quick, but he was like, I just signed our country over. And I guess that's a qualified, verified quote.
I mean, it's not like it's really not a bad
I
thing.
mean, think about it though.
It
Even
really is.
even money only has worth because we say it does.
Well,
Like,
there's
it's-
confidence in it.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
exactly. It's purely just okay. We say this is worth $10, and you know what I mean. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Only has that. Like if seriously, if everybody just were to just stop saying money's not worth anything, it wouldn't be worth the paper. it's
Exactly,
written
and a
on.
private company is saying that, not the government. If you can just say it is,
Our
then
way
why
of
wouldn't you just
establishing,
qualify
like,
that to
a
the
currency
Well,
government?
it's the same
barter.
thing as like a Bitcoin.
I was just about
Like,
to bring
there's
up
no
Bitcoin. Yeah.
value behind it other than the
People
fact
are-
of confidence in anonymous.
I want to know how
The
it is how
econ
the data
people.
mining goes for it though, because I have a roommate that he's like mining like for like
Zeke
Bitcoin
Lin.
right now.
Zeke
Zeke's
Lin
doing it
does
too.
Yeah.
What is this mining?
Data
Yeah.
mining. So you're trying to basically what? Yeah, I'm not.
So
entirely
bitcoins are
familiar with
basically
it.
like almost like algorithms.
Yeah.
So if you break the algorithm, you get like a data set or something, and that is a Bitcoin.
Or and it might be not even worth like a whole Bitcoin. I think it's
No,
like
no,
worth like
it's
less than
like
a percentage.
0.01.
Yeah, like a
super.
super small percent. But if you get that up high enough, like you can be worth like 1 Bitcoin, which is equivalent to I don't know how much
I think
in
it's
cash.
11 or 12 now. I really
Yeah,
don't know.
it just
11 or
depends on whatever the
12,000.
market's at.
Yeah.
But it's if you invest
Was
in
it at
Bitcoin,
16? A couple weeks ago, was it like 15?
it could be.
It went up to 20, down to 8.
It's
and
just
then,
it's whatever the
you know,
market's at today. Yeah,
it's
it's kind of
just
like gold.
nuts.
Like you don't really know what gold's worth right now.
Gold, but
like,
gold has intrinsic value that like is timeless. You know, everybody
true.
likes gold.
That's true.
Yeah, so
I mean, you kidding me? I'm wearing gold around
I was
my
just
neck right now.
fascinated by that because I'm starting to learn
Yeah.
about that and through a couple different ways. So I always like to hear about it.
Well, like
And me and him have talked about this stuff.
I mean,
so-
like money's necessary though. Like
No, absolutely.
Try and barter. Like you.
Well,
can't,
yeah,
No, you
today.
can't.
in
Well, it
today's
just
world,
makes
yeah.
everything-
because everybody puts value
it
on
makes
it.
everything easier.
Yeah.
And it simplifies
puts
things.
everything on an equal playing field. for the
Right.
most
Yeah,
part.
because everything has value now. A value that you can say, okay, this is worth a certain amount of
Yeah,
this.
you can like.
It's just
How do you
interesting though
determine-
Bitcoin because it's like there is no like banks like that that are
Well, that's the
involved
issue.
in all
There's
that. There's no
They're
regulation.
confused on how to tax it and how to regulate it. 'Cause
Exactly.
You can't.
Well, because the government wants their piece as a tax account.
I
The
did.
government always wants their piece.
What do you always say to me about the OJ thing?
Oh, I said yeah. No, OJ, get away with murder. You can get away with murder, but the one thing they won't get away with, Wesley Snipes, is not getting away with tax evasion. The government does not care. They want their money. You can get away with murder. You will not get away with tax evasion. They will come after you. They don't give a fuck who you are. You are getting.
That's why Al Capone got nailed on, right?
Yeah, they nailed him on
Yeah, I
tax
think so.
evasion.
Tax
Yeah,
evasion,
it's
not
exactly-
murder.
He got life.
Prohibition.
He got the longest sentence I think ever for tax evasion.
Because they were like, we got
Yeah,
lots
we're like,
to
let's
do.
get him for a
We
while.
can't because there was no DNA testing or anything back then. They couldn't, other than an eyewitness, you essentially couldn't prove that the murder happened. Like that was like the biggest thing. So it's like, and obviously Al Capone, I'm gonna kill all the witnesses. Like, so it's like, how are we gonna get the guy? Well, tax
Well,
evasion.
taxes. Yeah.
We
got
know
a
he's
Tommy
doing it.
gun.
We just can't prove it based
I'm
on
gonna
our,
nail him
our
with my
systems.
Tommy gun.
But yeah, no, it's an
Do I
interesting.
need to report my investment income? Is that a thing? No, I'm serious.
Like capital gains. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
like how much do I
Yes.
need to make
Once
in order to report
once
it?
they're realized, yes.
Like how much do I need?
Well, it depends.
by
Is it
realized,
mutual
I
funds or
mean-
stocks?
We might have to
Like, is
edit
it
this out.
funds or
I'm not trying to
stocks?
get- not trying to
Because if
get
it's
the IRS
funds,
up.
if it's like a
well, it
mutual
depends. Is
fund,
it just on like paper, or have you actually like claimed like the money, like you have?
I have it.
So it's realized.
Yeah, it's realized.
It depends on. Yeah, I don't know what the threshold is, but yeah, at
I
a
think
certain
I'm just gonna
point.
ride
yeah.
low key and just not say anything about it.
Okay,
besides
maybe we
this
should edit this
podcast.
out.
I'm gonna edit that.
Should we edit this
the
out?
US
Alright.
the FBI agent that's monitoring my computer will.
IRS agent.
What were we
he's
talking
gonna
about?
contact the IRS agent. But yeah, at some point you do have to.
I'll
do
figure that
have
out
to-
someday. I forget.
I don't know what the minimum is though, off the top of my head.
I'll pay the
but yeah.
fines later in life. I figure.
If we're gonna edit that out, then we should figure out what we were talking about.
Oh no, I don't care.
Oh,
No.
okay,
I really
well, fuck
don't.
that.
Well, because they don't
Yeah.
fucking don't know.
Oh, yeah,
Honestly, he's like when they're looking to go after people that are getting like capital. They're looking at like high level like stock.
I don't think
brokers.
they're
They're looking
looking
at
at
people that are making a killing. Off
Broke
of this.
college student. If
Yeah,
they
they're
come
not
after
looking
me,
after- they're not coming
They need
after
something
you.
better with their time.
You wouldn't pop up on their radar unless you
Well, I think,
unless
like-
you're making like hundreds of thousands of dollars on the market.
Well, don't tell anybody.
Which, which case you might have to slip me a little bit to keep this quiet. You know?
Is that why I'm on the podcast?
Yeah, that's really why.
Entry
Yeah, that's
fee
why
to
we have
get
the
on
lights like
podcast?
space on you. Like, so Michael's.
Good cop, bad
We got a
cop.
profile. I thought you said bad cop, bad cop.
Yeah, I said bad cop.
No, that's
No,
not what I
That's
said.
not a thing, man.
The cucumber accents the water in such a way that
It's amazing. It's absolutely
just smacks
horrible.
Oh my god.
No, that's funny.
No, I'm a broke college student, so don't take my money.
Yeah, right.
So
Well, yeah, because like, if as long as it's like on paper, like right, like obviously on paper it says you're making money, but it's not like you're like, okay, I want to sell and actually collect
Yeah.
the cash.
Okay.
It's
Oh, it's
considered
just-
unrealized
it's just
gains.
what you've.
It's sitting in some account somewhere.
Is it still
Right.
open? You haven't collected on it?
No. I closed the trade, so it's in my brokerage account, offshore, Jamaica or something.
There you go.
Yo, how crazy is that?
Well, if it's
Apple
offshore, then
had,
that's
like,
different. I don't even
all
know.
of its money in an offshore account.
183.
That's okay.
So here's
That's
why.
gonna be the new
We've
thing. with
talked-
this
I've
podcast
talked
is
about
getting
that a
these
lot in
big
school.
cats.
it's funny because Apple, right? They have so much leverage in what they can do with getting loans, just because they have so much cash. They're actually the most valuable company in the world. Their equity, Apple has the highest equity. Yeah, they're the most, on paper, they're the most valuable company in the world.
Even more than Amazon and
Yes.
Google.
Oh yeah.
I thought
I thought Amazon's market cap was bigger.
They might have a bigger market cap, but they're not as equity. They are the most valuable. On paper, Apple is the most valuable. Why? Because they have the most cash to sitting on their books.
Yeah.
Their loans are ridiculously low. Like the interest, they pay basically next to nothing on their interest rates, and all they do is they just keep taking more loans to pay off other loans, and just keep cycling through this. They don't actually pay their cash.
Yeah,
to pay off the loans.
refinance. It's a good move.
Yeah, and they can do that because they have, like I said, they have all the leverage in the world to command that, because it's like, okay, we have like $3 billion sitting in cash, which they don't touch like ever, and they don't bring it over here because it's going to get taxed at a ridiculous.
We want to
you know,
change this
corporate
world.
rate.
We gotta get those fat cats,
You know, just a
CEOs.
And
Small
you're right, it
loan
is
to my
sitting
father
off-
of $1 million.
offshore.
That's what I'm saying. It's all offshore.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't they though? We have the highest corporate tax rates out of any country in the world.
Well, when you bring money back, you
even
pay
now
something
that
on
he
it.
lowered
Right.
him 14%.
I'm pretty sure it's still the highest. I mean, I haven't looked yet because I
'Cause
don't
it's
know. I don't know
21% now.
how when these are being
24th.
enacted. Used to
It
be-
was
used to-
34.
And
No,
then-
it was 34, and then they lowered it down to 21. He wanted 20, but they
thought it
gave
was
him
30.
21.
Was it 34?
Specifics.
I thought it might have been 39.9,
38.
38.9 or 38.
Yeah,
It's like 38 point something.
Okay, but still,
because
that's a lot of money to
38.6
pay in
or whatever.
That's a
taxes.
lot.
If you make
That's
a
a
million,
lot.
you know, if you make $1 million, it's right
Depending
up.
on your
Oh, yeah.
on what you are, like partnership or anything like that. So
Yeah,
you're paying
it
the
depends
you're
on how
paying
you
the tax,
file,
then
yeah.
all that.
Because
Yeah,
that's like
that
corporation.
sucks.
Like,
Then also income tax on
But-
top of it.
I don't know.
yeah, it depends.
I think there's a way we can restructure shit. That's why I don't know. But there's not a way we can restructure shit because
Because a lot of these companies, I know what I think. Is it Apple? No, somebody's like in Ireland right now, and their corporate tax rates are like 15%. It's like not even.
Well,
remote.
Luxembourg, man, that's where you gotta go. Luxembourg's got
Yeah, there's just
richest per capita.
yeah, they are.
Have you guys looked at the personal taxes though, like tax cuts and stuff like that?
So what I've looked again, I actually wrote one of my masters because I took a personal income tax class. It was basic tax, and all it was like personal taxes essentially, or if you filed as a sole proprietorship.
Yeah.
But the advanced tax went into more like the corporate stuff, like if you're a partnership, if you're a LLC, like, well, even though there's technically whatever. And what I know is, and I did a paper, like, what Trump was proposing. I don't know what he's actually doing now. I have to get back, like, into, like, the workplace and see, like, what really ended up happening. Because I know he was proposing getting rid of, like, the filing as a, like, head of household, which is a big deduction that would, could harm people who file, like, people like my sister. She wouldn't file, like, single. She's a single mother. And lives in her own house, so she would file as head of household, which is a higher like standard deduction than if you filed single. Not as much if you filed like married, filing jointly.
That's
but
the thing. They're getting rid of like all the deductions, but like
Yeah.
lowering the tax, so it's supposed to balance out.
they're hoping it will. And what else he was hoping to do is add more credits. He thought like add tax credits that would help balance
the thing
it,
is,
but I don't
they
think that'll
like,
work.
They aren't as like efficient as like just a lower tax rate because you're not
Right.
experiencing the issue of the tax credit. You're not getting
Right.
that benefit until you file the taxes, and like that's what the issue is. Really.
Yeah,
One thing that
I at least from what I saw at first on the survey, I don't know what, because obviously there's what he's proposing in his campaign
What's going to
versus
actually
what Congress
occur.
is actually going
Yeah.
to pass. But what he was proposing, I didn't think it was going to be as like beneficial in general as like he was trying to make it out.
something I thought
Reaganomics.
super interesting is,
Yeah.
so
Trickle
I'm a
down
personal
economics.
disbeliever in trickle down economics. I don't think trickle down economics has ever worked. In my opinion, I'm not about it. Anyway, so
I had a professor just to that point that I think brought out a really good point to us. He goes, the thing is he goes, the idea right behind that is that they're going to save this money and then pay it back to their workers, right? The idea behind trickle down economics. But he said the problem with that is or the idea is that you'll keep, especially with these cuts, like trying to discourage people from going overseas and like keeping your company serious. But the problem is they're not going to give their workers more money unless they realize there is more work to be given. Like, you know what I mean? Unless they know they're expanding. So that's the only problem with it now. If they decide that there's more products they want to buy, sure, maybe their workers, like, you'll expand and hire more people, but that's only if they think there's more market. Otherwise, they're going to hold on to it, which is the problem with the theory of trickle-down economics, to me at least.
and I was, I always agree with that too. I just found out on Monday that Allstate, for all its home office employees, which I like an agency owner isn't, but like I am,
Mm-hmm.
I get a bonus of X amount March 30th, because I didn't elect to take their healthcare plan in 2018 because I'm on my parents still, and because of all the tax breaks, like and it's a big bonus.
Yeah,
like
shout
it's a
out
lot
to
of money, and even the people that do have their health insurance, like they're getting half that amount, which is still a lot of money. And so I was impressed by that. I was like, wow, like there's thousands and thousands of home office employees all over the country, and they're paying us that much each. Jesus Christ, like wow. Yeah. But I mean, when you add it all up, it's like still wow. They're probably I don't know.
They're still showing.
They're probably still making money.
Yeah, they're still making their own money. Yeah,
but
they're not gonna do it, knowing that it's gonna cost them, more than the benefit is. The whole cost benefit analysis.
So then they're making bank.
Like the issue like that Trump proposes of all of our jobs going offshore.
Yeah.
So I saw a study the other day, or a guy brought it up to me. 15% of jobs that have been lost are what have gone overshore. Everything else has been lost through like machines and robots and stuff like that.
Right, no, just automation.
So it's such a small percentage of jobs that are actually lost to like outsourcing out.
Creative destruction. That's what creative destruction is.
I just love like that people still live in this like fantasy world of thinking it's like, oh, creating jobs means like bringing more factory workers into like Chrysler or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's other.
It's like, do you realize it's like this isn't the Industrial Revolution anymore? Like that doesn't mean
we're past
that's
factory lines.
Yeah, we're way past that. Like the way that stuff's automated now. Like you don't need those type of workers. Like no offense, it's just like, but the need for that type of worker doesn't exist anymore. So develop a different.
But recently, it's been coming back. Like there's actually a huge gap for trade. And
no,
like
trades,
labor.
yes, but this isn't what we're talking. I'm not talking trade. I'm talking literally a guy who picks up one thing of steel, sticks it under a machine.
And
well,
there was
like an assembly line.
There was like
line.
There was like a car. There's a car company that I guess is looking for mad people. But I agree with you. Like in general, you're 100% right. It is on the.
There's going to be exceptions to everything, but I'm saying in general.
There's technology. Technology's the way, man. I mean, it's
going to take over a lot of stuff. I mean, even in my field, there's different tax softwares that people use that try and do the same thing we do. I think, depending on what, I mean, maybe it might help like an individual, but like I don't think businesses should go through like TurboTax.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with like computers. Like they can do something, but they don't have like the problem solving aspect.
Right.
Of, like,
but wait till they get it.
Right, and they might again. They know a bunch of shit. like because even like I said in my field, like there's been, people we've done this before where like a guy. People have their companies, right? They're in a partnership. They run it through like TurboTax and see how much their refund is. And even, because the idea is, okay, well, what's the benefit of going to a tax person or a CPA, which is even a different level of a tax accountant? You're paying, like, you have the convenience, right? That's why you do it, because it's like, I don't have to fucking worry about it. I give them my W-2s. Give them all that, and they take care of it. But you also have to pay a fee, obviously. The time that they put into it, you pay based on how much time it took to do that. So they give you like an estimate. So is that worth it? And what they found, at least with these companies, is it's in general it makes more sense to go to a person because you actually like, at least the one study I saw, the partnership, they saved like almost $1,000 more than versus the software. Now, granted, these are companies, so it might be different for like an individual. Like they might save around the same, but what?
I did TurboTax the 1 year. The next year I went through actual accounting and I got way more.
Yeah, see. Yeah. So there you go. So even there's an example. For those of you who couldn't hear that, Jake just mentioned that 1 year he did TurboTax for his individual income taxes, and then the next year went to an accountant and said he got way more through the accountant, which I'm not surprised with at all. It's just the accountant knows just those fine, like that's our job. We literally we have to research this stuff. That's what you get paid to do. Now, granted, again, I was just doing like summer internships, and I'm going back Monday actually. Freed in their Buffalo office asked me to come back for the busy season, so I'll be there and learning more about this stuff. So probably in a few weeks I'll have a better idea of what I can elaborate on it. But this will be my full-time like career, and
tax
it's just like,
stuff?
oh yeah, I'm gonna be a tax accountant. Man. Yeah, it's
Where are you in Buffalo?
They're in the Liberty Building.
You know Lafayette Square?
Yeah.
The Hilton Hotel right there?
Yeah, it's right there,
Yeah, I worked in the top floor of that. The Hamster Group right there.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's really not, especially all the stuff they're building down there, dude. It's getting nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
man.
It's getting really nice down there.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, you got to go outside, hit the market, and get those cookies.
Well, Tuesday, get the food truck Tuesdays.
The food truck Tuesdays, those are always good to go to.
But
it's a cool spot.
But normally I'll be in Batavia, but this time they want me in Buffalo. So, which I'm very fortunate
Buffalo's really
for,
not that bad.
You're working in Buffalo.
I'll be in Buffalo Monday through Thursdays. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll be in Buffalo, but no, it's pretty cool. I'm more than anything just to learn a lot.
What time you got to get there in the morning?
9 o'clock, at least for this one. I know most accountants, like the thing, at least with Freed, in the summer they give you what's called like flex hours. You just got to work 40 hours in the week. They don't care how you do it.
Yeah.
The way most people do it is you go into work 8 to 5. You eat through. You work through lunch. I mean, you eat, but like you don't leave the office. But
stuff.
you get half day Fridays. So and then you get the whole weekend. Yeah. But during tax season, you're working. They want a bare minimum 55-hour weeks.
you're
Most people
killing
are in the
yourself.
60s. Yeah, it's you work 11, 12-hour days, Saturdays. Some Saturdays, some Sunday. It just depends on how much. So, like, that time of year is going to kill you, but there's the trade-off. That's, 3 months out of the year. The rest of the year, it's like, half-day Fridays and...
Yeah.
You just
When I was doing the private equity stuff up in Buffalo,
Yeah.
When you're in like the middle of a deal, 70 hours a week, easy.
Oh, I
You
believe
just,
it.
crank them out, but I don't know, it's all worth it, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey...
Somebody has to pay the bills.
Somebody hit once... I was happier when I got the paycheck. I'll be happier when you see that.
Yeah, you're pissed on Thursday, but then Friday you're like, all right, whatever. I guess it's worth it.
Well, and you think, too, once you actually
whatever.
become like a CPA, that's when
all that
you
stuff.
get even higher up there. Those are the
Yeah.
guys that are making, obviously the associates, great, but like the partners that are making the big bucks.
Dude,
That's the
they
people
crank
that are.
them out, man.
But they're the people bringing in the business, so that's why you get it. I mean, Freed's a little different. They call them directors, not partners, because technically a partner means like you have equity in the company.
Yeah.
You get to buy in and you profit based off of how the company does too. But director means you don't own equity, but you still, like, you're as high as you can get. Like, you're bringing in business, but they pay you handsomely for it.
This the company I worked for, they had waterfall for returns. So work your way down. And then we're a management company. We manage people's funds. One of the managing guys, it was his money that we would use sometimes, so he gets like a certain percentage. He would put in, say, $100,000 or something like that. At the end of the deal, he would make $1 million in 8 years off that $100,000.
Wow.
Like, that is just like the thing to get into.
Sign me up.
And
2, please.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. Can I get 2 of those?
2
Yeah.
of those.
and
Yeah, no. Well, that's one thing for sure. Once I start making a little money, I want to look into is the stock market for sure. Find brokers.
that's what I'm
and
pumped
people-
for. I'm
people
gonna have
get
my
me into
6 to
that.
63, and then after I have the option to get my 7, and Allstate will pay for it. So I'm
Seriously?
probably gonna get
401k?
my 7.
Yeah.
Do you get 401k with Allstate?
Yep.
Same
Benefits.
401k.
Beautiful. That's
And a
what I want,
pension.
man. To the pension.
And they have a
That's gone,
pension,
man.
which
I
is
was
something
gonna say,
that
'cause
people
pensions,
don't
you
have
don't see that
You
anymore.
don't see that.
Nope.
It's gone.
Nope.
No.
That's awesome.
Those
dude.
are always.
Still.
And like, cause we're not gonna have any Social Security. It's just not gonna be
No,
there.
it's just
No,
not. At
it's
this
just
rate,
not.
at
It's
this
not a
rate,
thing.
dude,
I never know because I feel like I've been hearing this the last like 15 years. Like that, there's no Social Security.
No,
Like,
it's
dying.
our age group. That's
Here's
gonna get
here's
hit.
something
Yeah.
really
Literally
interesting to
not
think
gonna
about is the average life expectancy in
That's true too.
whatever year this was passed, so 1935, 1936, 1937, whatever year it was.
Yeah.
This was part of to
60,
fight
50?
the.
No, it was 35, 34, 36.
Get out.
No.
Yes.
He's talking how old the life expectancy
Yeah,
was,
age
not when it was
expectancy.
right.
Oh,
passed.
it was then.
He's saying in the
yes,
30s,
in
yeah.
the 30s.
Okay, I was gonna say
Life
35,
expectancy
like,
was
dude,
63,
that's brutal.
64.
Yeah,
Average
yeah,
life
I know.
expectancy was 63,
Yeah, no,
64.
that was like probably no. That would still be too high from like when the Black Plague came in. Like,
Yo,
like
that-
your
20%
life
of
expectancy, yeah,
population.
just
Do you know what?
decimated the
No,
population.
I'll
yeah.
tell you exactly what it is because I fucking studied. This was
Right, history,
this-
history
oh,
buff.
Good, yeah, this is you.
This-
History buff.
I was actually going to talk about the plague. I was thinking about this podcast, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the average age
What are
of
you
the
trying to say? You
English,
think of Michaels and you think plague?
Think of
the
rats?
English,
You think you have of
very
flea-infested
distinct face.
rats that just decimated.
I'm sorry.
everything.
go on.
the average age of the English royal family during the Great Plague, and the royal family has the best of everything: the best doctors, the best
Yeah, the whole
food, the best
shebang.
water, the best healthcare, everything.
And what year was the plague?
It was 1346 to
Yeah,
on
best
and off
doctors.
to like 1351.
Best doctors, even fucking in the 1700s with Washington, their idea of like getting rid of a fever was cutting your forehead and letting you bleed out. That was their idea.
Okay,
That'll help.
for about
Literally killed
actually for about 1600 years.
Yeah.
The main, and this started with the ancient Greeks, like in the 300s. This dude came, I forgot his name, but he came up with the theory of the 4 humors, which is there's 4 things in your body. There's blood, black bile, yellow bile, and phlegm. Those are the 4 things.
Yeah.
And he attached them to the 4 seasons, and there were horoscopes and shit. So literally from 400 BC in the Middle East and Europe all the way up to the Reformation and the Enlightenment and all that shit, the 4 humors were present. So that's they would bleed you and shit, or they'd be yeah, he needs more black phlegm. So they would they would do some weird stuff, man. That's what medicine was predicated on.
Wow.
But the thing about the Great Plague was people don't realize that Like people say, yo, the Great Plague doesn't mean anything to me today. Because a bunch of people died 700 years ago, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, it has no effect on me. Actually, like, the entire modern economic system came from the Great Plague. Because you had serfdom before. 90% of the people were serfs. 10% of the people weren't. And
Social
between
classes.
that, it was like 7% clergy and like 3% nobility. So 90% of the people were just serfs. And then you had between a third and half the population of Europe die.
Yeah.
So a huge labor shortage was created.
Yeah.
And there were like laws about it in England, like you had to work like after that. And, you know, the guilds started to form because the people got more of a say because their labor was worth more.
Yeah.
You know, scarcity. There's less people. Their labor's worth more.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so a lot of that
That's
stuff, yeah,
wild.
look into that. There's actually a really
I
good book.
really will. That's cool.
There's a good book that talks about it, Why Nations Fail. But, yeah, I learned that from, yeah, so that's why medieval shit's cool. Cause
It's real cool.
No,
Dude.
history in itself is incredible. Like to learn from it and to see like how stuff even back then still applies today, how it doesn't. You know, how we've learned from it, how
Well,
we've
it's like
evolved, and how we haven't evolved at
it's a
all from
cycle.
certain things.
Yeah, it's a complete cycle. A lot of like those major events that occur. Like I always think that there's like a lull period where things are like baking up and working its way, and then there's the major
Right.
event shifts it, and then we go back down, and then like it just works its way up and down.
and it's just a matter of what is the issue that's going to come up
Yeah.
next. Like, well, like even today, you hear a lot now about like sexism or racism, but like racism was obviously probably right now I would say is like at like the third highest. Like when it comes to tension, like what number one's obviously the Civil War. It's got to be right. That's what you were fighting over. Like
tensions were right before the Civil War because technically the
well, that's
Civil
what I
War was
mean.
a
Like the
different war.
lead up was
Yeah,
the Civil War.
yeah,
Like,
the
that
Civil
was the
War,
climax
yeah.
of
So that's
the tension.
one.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, number two, I'd say the '60s, like the riots. Then, or you know what I mean. Up until
Tensions,
then,
yes.
tensions before that, but like the
Social
climax
side,
was
yeah.
the movements that happened
Yeah.
there. The whole, that whole thing, and now we're seeing it again in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. You're seeing a lot
Yeah.
of tension again.
I can't disagree.
I mean, do you ever watch like ESPN and listen to even like how Stephen A. Smith talks now? Like it's just like he's saying as a black man. It's just like, can we just talk as people, please? Like I get that there's real racism that occurs. I'm obviously like I'm not naive to it. That's just ignorant. But it's like that's just an example of like how like that was what 50 years ago something happened like that. We had had that climax and now it died down for a little bit and then now it's starting to build back up and here we are today and it's coming back
imagine
around
like
again.
how it is to live as like a minority. Like
Oh,
you know
yeah.
how weird that must or difficult it must be to like live in like a white man's world.
Yeah.
Like my little brothers
well,
are.
we I guess we never
creamy.
could truly know, right? We'd have to can only
Yeah,
imagine
can
because
only
we're a
imagine,
bunch
like,
of
what
white
it's like, yeah.
males, so we are
Yeah.
considered, the privilege.
Well,
of
my little
our
brothers
society.
are a little light skinned, so like
Okay.
I'm always like aware of like they're going to face certain restrictions or certain things in their life that
Obstacles,
I didn't
yeah.
have to because given their skin
Right.
color. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
true.
it's a tough thing, I guess.
It's just the reality of the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a class, economics of discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
and like consistently, it is shown throughout all sorts of different wages that white males, given the same equal like ability, everything like that, experience, always get paid like a higher threshold, and it's even greater for like women for the most part, like black women compared to white women.
Yeah.
I heard that the discrepancy between
That's interesting. I didn't know
what women get paid and what men get paid isn't actually as big as like we're
It's
told.
not
It's
as crazy. It's big, but like it's not
well,
as crazy.
yeah, but and I'm not, and I don't know enough about it, so I'm just
Yeah.
saying what I've been told. And what I've kind of looked into, like a lot of women, and this isn't like a lot of women tend to go into like the same kind of field, whereas men kind of go in the same field. Like, how many men nurses do you know? How many women nurses do you know? Like, I know a lot of women nurses. I only know a few male nurses, and nurses make good money. I'm not saying they don't; they make really good money.
Probably make more money.
Just want to make sure that this. Okay, cool.
And thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
But like technology, like if
Yeah.
you know how to do technology and
talking to the
management
fucking
and stuff
mic,
like
Billy.
that,
Billy, can you talk into the mic, dude?
like that's that's obviously different. If you can do IT, you're gonna get paid a lot more.
Yeah.
No, that does. I'm not saying one. I'm just saying like think about how many women you know that go into IT tech. I don't.
Well, it's like
Well,
a
that one there's a big.
big thing about it, like the Google letter.
Yeah. I was gonna say
all
Google.
kinds of
That's a
things
huge.
like
that's a
that,
huge
yeah.
controversy right now with
What
like
is?
women go in IT.
You ever hear
like
the Google letter?
The perceptions. So this guy, you can actually touch
He was
it, up, but
an executive at Google. He was high up, and he basically wrote a very long letter dictating like why he believes women and men, don't necessarily get paid the same or don't go into the same roles, like those kind of things. His whole statement was women are genetically like the caring mother. Like those are the roles
Now,
they go into.
it's important to note that Google has a huge, a big thing that they preach to their employees why they want people to really work there is like obviously you have to do your work for them, but they really preach doing free time and like figuring out your own individual projects. Like they really encourage you to work on your own like projects, and that's a big part of like Google. And they find that a lot of their success that they've had like in quote unquote innovation that they've done has come from actually just employees
Like
wanting to
side
work on their own
projects.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the reason why this guy even came up with like talking like this wasn't just out of left field. It was like this was his whole like side project, quote unquote. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's important to know because that's
It
like,
is.
a big part.
It
of,
is.
like,
Yeah,
what
it's not
Google
like he was just like a
preaches.
crazy guy
No.
that just like.
Yeah,
out of
I was
nowhere.
wondering where
It
he
doesn't
came
make
with it
what
from.
he said right at all. I'm just saying that's why he felt like he
I
had to-
don't know if I have a why, but and people always say that like with all these political things, like if you make a statement, they go right to the why and they try and discern. And it's just like no, let's talk about the
Look at the-
statement
yeah,
I'm
look at the
making.
context
Let's talk
in
about
which
the
it was
statement I'm
said.
making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do men and women tend to gravitate towards different field, like different areas? I mean, do they?
I mean, if you look
know.
at it, yeah, there's completely a
Like-
separation of like.
If you want to look at like just the data, like
Yeah.
being unbiased, yes.
like just like in my own life, I
Doesn't
can
mean
name.
women. It's not.
I bet you I can
suggesting-
name 8 or 10 girls that I know are nurses.
Yeah.
Or in nursing school. I know one male.
Well, there was even like a joke. Well, not even a joke, but my one of his name I can't remember his name, but he was ended up becoming the assistant dean while I was working at Canisius, like working in because I worked as a work study in the graduate business department, but it was like kind of combined with the dean of the business school at the time, and the assistant dean was one of the marketing chairs, and he said, it's kind of funny now, where like it's almost perceived like, and it's so true at my school that really most of the marketing and like digital media art majors are women, whereas most of the finance majors are men. Like obviously there's a mix in there of each, but he said like
Yeah.
it's like almost like the macho position became like finance, whereas like the sexy, like how he said more of the feminine was like marketing. Like that doesn't mean that you can't be in both. It just that's what the numbers
how
were
it plays
indicating.
out.
Right.
Yeah, if you look at like actual like degrees had by both men and women, there is a complete separation for the most part
Yeah.
of like what is chosen.
It's not suggesting in any way that either side's not capable of the other. It's just
yeah.
that's just
So this is
where
definitely
And you
a
can't make statements
pro
like that.
women
yes.
podcast.
And you can't make statements like that. You know what I mean?
No.
And like without everybody in this, because everything
Well, no,
gets so
we live in
twisted,
the outrage
man.
culture right now. Where
It is
if you don't like it, you
outrage.
have to just freak out about it and like
Shut it down.
hate that person for like hate shame, just shame them,
Well,
which is ridiculous because
And everybody's so
the best people to me are the people that are calm and actually talk things out and have an open mind to other ideas. That's the best type of person. I mean, the outrage culture completely goes against that, and it's a bad form of human psychology to live on.
we can disagree and we can talk about the
I
disagreeing
love
and the
human
agreeing,
psychology
but
too,
like at the same time, like I appreciate that disagreement. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
that's the
conflict's
point
good.
because how can we ever?
yeah.
Well, you're like a philosophy guy, wasn't it? It's Socrates, the question of why, or like explain.
Never
further.
gave a reason, right?
Explain
Always
further.
question, yeah.
Yeah, always question
question.
and get down to like the definition of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever listened to the dialogues?
Yeah.
It's that same
Yeah, I've read
concept
that
of like
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, I can generally say what justice is, or I can
Yeah.
generally say what this is, but like
I've read the
truthfully,
apology. I've read
Yeah.
Credo.
on like the
I've
base
read,
level.
yeah.
like, you need to be able to define
Yeah.
the ideas.
The man,
Truth-
he never gave answers to any of his questions, but he
Just
always
ask questions.
just
Just
asked.
ask
That's
the
what you got out of it.
questions,
Just keep
The
asking.
two things I really took from him was number one, he wasn't the most intelligent. He wasn't the most. He didn't say he was the most intelligent man, but he said people say I'm an intelligent man. I don't think I'm intelligent because I know everything. I think I'm intelligent because I know I don't know everything.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing that I took from him is when you die, he was talking about the afterlife, and like people are always worried about the afterlife.
Right.
And he's like, well, when you die,
And his whole thing. he
it's
thought it was
either going to
stupid.
be there is going to be an afterlife or there isn't going to be an afterlife. And if there isn't going to be an afterlife, then you shouldn't worry about it because it's just going to be like when you're sleeping. Like when you're sleeping, do you know you're sleeping? Like are you freaking out saying, "Oh, I'm just resting right now. This bed's so comfortable." You're just sleeping. You don't know
Yeah.
anything about it. That's what it's going to be. But
Yeah.
you know, if you're a good person
Yeah.
and you have a good life and you just don't cause harm to other people and you just add to the community,
Right.
it's going to work out for you. And
Yeah,
it's
and-
going to be
and-
great.
and to
so
Don't
tag-
worry about it either way.
Yeah, and to tag off of that point, like I know, I'm just trying to even remember from my, I had to take 2 freaking philosophy classes, and not just one of them. They mentioned that, like even Socrates was just saying, he's like, why would I fear like the after, like what happens after death? I don't know it, so why should I fear it? What he just like, I don't get why we should fear the unknown.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know it doesn't mean we need to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Because that is human nature, is to really fear what we don't understand and to almost attack it in a lot of ways. But
Well, you gotta explain it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like people aren't comfortable with not knowing.
Right.
It's kind of
what it
crazy
is.
that he like
We're control
founded
freaks.
Western
We're
thought.
control freaks. We
He,
want to be
like,
in control.
Oh, yeah, it's
Him
the
and
foundation,
Plato and
completely.
Aristotle
Completely.
like give a 80% plus foundation of Western thought.
Oh yeah.
All in them. Like
Very
Plato's
important.
forms, the idea
Plato,
of
yeah.
what is and the idea of it, like this idea of a chair that he would say, like, or like this table. Like when you think the word table, like, yeah, there's tons of tables you think about, but then there's this actual table.
Yeah. No, it's always weird that like there's things that like everybody just okay, I'll call that a table. Like
Yeah.
everybody just agreed on
table.
certain things.
Like
that's
the idea of a table.
of
But
like
there's-
identifying an object as
That's
that
a
table.
and this is a table.
Yeah.
This is this table. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're
like
they're different.
the
Well, and
division of like objects. And
It's
stuff.
called like
Yeah.
Plato's forms. Like
Yeah.
there's the idea of it, and then there's an actual tangible thing that is it, but it isn't it because this is different than that, but it's the same as that.
Wow.
My
Whoa,
head is
man.
blown, man.
Wow.
People are just like, all right, you just fucking lost me. Like, what?
It
We're
took
talking
me.
about tables
Owen
now.
Wilson sitting home.
It took me
Wow.
2 years to understand that.
Wow, that guy. Wow.
It took me 2 years to understand that, and
Wow.
I don't.
No, philosophy. It took me a while
Beautiful.
to read it. Even then, definitely don't understand nearly as much as I would like to about
Me
it.
neither,
Yeah.
man.
It's a different type of thinking. You know, that existential like thought. It's just so much different level of
You know, like
of thinking.
the dialogues, like how in one of the sections they talk about like the perfect civilization. Everybody
maybe
having, like,
Utopia.
Yeah,
Utopia.
Oh.
Yeah.
class, like the warriors do their thing and so on
Yeah.
and so
Are
forth.
you talking about
Is it-
Socratic shit?
Yeah,
The
Socratic.
allegory in the cave?
Yes. And so I brought it up to one of my history professors, and he's like, that is one of the earliest forms of racism. And, like,
That's interesting when you think about
That's-
if we
that's
all
The
do our own
alleg-
thing.
So, what the allegory in the cave was talking about is Socrates wanted to find out what the best society would be.
yeah.
So he came up with this allegory of the cave, and what it is it's these people down in a cave, like under the earth, and they're staring against this wall. They're staring
Oh,
against the
yeah.
wall, and there's a fire behind them, and someone's this puppet master, the deceiver,
Oh,
the
I've heard of
politician,
this.
Yeah.
the king
Yeah,
is
yeah.
making signs like I'm making against the wall, and the people are just
It's like
entranced by
monsters
it.
and things like
yeah,
that.
and they're entranced by it. But then one guy is able to get up and escape to the top of the cave, and but the people down in the cave can never understand what he's talking about because they've never been there. And they're like, "Yo, what the fuck are you talking
Yeah,
about?"
it's too wild.
So that's what he talks about the philosopher king. Why the philosopher king is the best type of
Yeah.
re-
The perfect ruler.
yeah, because he
Right.
can use justice, but he can use morality to find that justice,
Yeah, no, I vaguely remember hearing about that.
No, it's
which
really,
is stuff we still talk about to today, right?
Yeah.
Freedom and justice and what's right and wrong and.
What's
And it's got its own
fair?
twist.
Yeah.
It's got its American twist. It's got its
Everybody has, like,
Swedish
their own
twist. Its
definition to it.
Chinese
Yeah.
twist. But
every civilization
Yeah.
has their own definition of it, which is
I
strange.
guess Chinese isn't really Western, but still in its own
Yeah,
way,
they still have
Chinese
their own
has
sort of
its own.
concept of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all cultures have throughout history, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And it's crazy how like so we all like go through the same schooling. We all go through like mainly the same schooling, same lifestyle. We all grew up in Batavia.
essentially, yeah.
But, like our definitions of things like that, like freedom, happiness, all that kind of stuff, completely different.
just based on our experience in the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
what we're exposed to. Because I mean, we didn't grow up in like
The exact same.
yeah, we didn't.
Yeah.
Well, even then, it's like, and we didn't grow up like how a kid in Ethiopia is growing up right now, or a kid in Harlem's growing up right now. You know,
Yeah.
it's just completely unique experiences. So that's going to change your perception of the
Yeah.
world.
I think personal experience.
I went to a
Yeah,
small
it's
rural
huge.
town in Pennsylvania for
Emotions
college.
Rule.
You know,
everything.
you went to Buffalo, an urban place, went to
Yeah.
a D1 school, and
wherever I go.
you're going to Boston to do consulting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
My buddy, he joked around. My roommate, he goes, "You know, dude, we play intramurals at a Division I school, right? We're basically D3 athletes. Like that's how that works. It's like we're basically D3. We're basically Division III athletes because we play intramurals at a Division I
full
school."
scholarship.
It was just like, he goes, "I'm trying out." He goes, "The guy only needs to bring me in for when there's under a minute to go in the game and they're fouling and we need to hit free throws." He goes, "I'll go to the line. That's all, and I'll walk on just to hit free throws." I'm like, "What are you, Mariano Rivera of basketball? You come in just to
Just go.
close for the
What
free
a
throws.
guy.
You won't touch the floor otherwise."
Now LeBron James.
I was like,
Yeah,
Jesus
hack the
Christ.
check.
Yeah.
That's
I was
fine,
like, you're
man.
going to get a dude who's 6'6" guarding you. You won't get open. Like, how are they going to get you the ball? Like, you're 6'2" on a good day with no
On a
foot
good
speed
day.
at all.
On a rainy day when he's soaked up the wine.
But yeah, no, that was always my favorite. What do you say? Oh, the Hack-a-Shack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
That's at the Hack-a-Shack, yeah.
that's a problem with right now. They're doing they do it to DeAndre Jordan now, right? That's like the Hack
Yeah,
of
that's the
Jordan.
guy.
Or
Yeah.
try and foul him just to get him to line. But no, he that's just how confident he is in his free throw abilities. I was just like, Jesus Christ.
I really
Yeah.
never understood that. Like, you're closer to the basket.
Have you ever
Like,
seen the
I
video
thought you were
of
closer to the basket.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the video of Tim Sullivan working with him? Yeah. I just saw that the other day. That like he posted a while ago. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I believe it. The man's a genius when it comes to shooting. Shout out to Tim Sullivan, Sully, Tim the Target.
Is that the guy from around here?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What?
When I used to go to Syracuse basketball camps, like the Boeheim camps,
Yeah.
Bernie Fine always, before he got kicked out, it's a long time since, but he always had Sully come in and shoot. And and do demonstrations in front of and he would sell his like stuff after Sullivan. But he told and he straight up said to like everybody there, he goes, learn from this guy. He is the best shooter I have ever seen in my life. And this is a guy who's a 30-year assistant to Boeheim,
Yeah.
who's seen it all. Like
Seen
he's
him
been
come
with
through.
have seen some of the best shooters. Obviously Boeheim was an assistant on the U.S. like Olympic team, so like he's seen the best basketball players of all time. Like he was around the Jordan era. Like he goes, no, this dude's the best shooter I've ever seen. I mean, look on YouTube. The guy's hit like. Ridiculous from like
God.
NBA range too. He won a contest, a 3-point shooting contest against like former NBA like
Really?
legend. Yeah, and he won. Yeah, which is
Sully,
insane.
what a guy, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's something about the thumb, right? He's just like.
Well,
he
for him,
reaches
it's
the thumb.
about your fingers.
Fingers?
It depends. So his theory, which I think is very much real, he said you shoot off of 2 fingers, right? Like the release point for me, it was my middle 2.
Yeah.
For guys, he said Kobe and Jordan and some other big name shooters, and a lot of guys shoot like this. It's off of these 2, their index. But the key is the ball's got to release right off of these 2, and they're not supposed to tilt either way. Equal at the same time. It's supposed to go like this. Now he thinks he's figured out a way for literally to have the perfect shot. At the time, he said to me, I can't figure out the distance error. He goes, it will make the shot straight every time, but you got to figure out like
How
basically.
much power and.
Yeah, that's more feel.
Yeah.
Like, I like to call it touch, like how you get that part down. Now he claims he's got the perfect shot. That he knows now how to get it. So not only can you get it straight every time, it's going to go in every time. He's got the distance part figured out. I'm not exactly sure how he's got that. He can explain it better than me.
No, that's right.
But I had him work with my brother just for 30 minutes, and the dude fixed his shot.
I like
Completely
them
fixed it.
apples, man.
You only need one session.
Wow.
Oh,
He
and
just
not,
has
and not
an
only
aura?
that, you just feel great around him. He'll talk to you. He makes you feel like you're on top of the world.
Tell
dude.
that story.
Oh, yeah. See, oh, dude, you feel like you're going to the NBA when you're
Wow.
talking to him. It's incredible. He makes you feel great.
Dude,
But, so what I was telling Zach one time, so there's 3 of us around there at Notre Dame. He's helping Spencer shoot, and and he's standing behind him with like a camera too, like taking videos. So and he sent him to me so I could see like what he's doing. It's only slowly because he hits 5 in a row, right? Nobody else is in the gym, mind you. He goes to where the visitor's bench would be and goes, "Are you gonna put a guy on him to guard him? This kid's on fire!" Like just nobody's there. He just turns and it turns back around. We both just start dying laughing. I'm like, it was just the funniest
What a
thing.
guy.
You're gonna put a guy on him? He's on fire right now. But no, really, he knows what he's talking about. And it's incredible that a guy with that great of knowledge, like shooting, who has worked. I've seen videos of him working with like Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah, just
I was
local.
there when he was working with Brandon Trish. I watched him work with Wade, like some big name guys, Dwight Howard, like that guy's from Batavia, New York, like that, or coached at Notre Dame's like girls team for the longest time. Went to Perry, was there for a bit. Like the dude is from here, but he's a genius at this.
John Jones is from Rochester.
From Endicott, New York.
You
Yeah,
know-
he fights out of Rochester.
you know what- you know
Or
what-
he did. Now
you-
he's out fighting out of Albuquerque.
You know what I heard the other day too?
What's that?
And it came from a guy who's a pretty good source, so I believe him. He's the dude that I've been training with a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's this guy that goes to the Y and works out. He's an older guy. He's bald. He's like 5'7", 5'8", but he's tatted up.
Mm-hmm.
Tatted up. Like down, everything. Can't see any of his skin.
Okay.
Ears, everything. Like he's even got a couple on his face. He's an older guy. He's Native American. He was the first Native American Muay Thai champion in the world. He was John Jones's first striking Muay Thai coach. He was John Jones's strike coach in the Chael Sonnen fight.
So he brought him in for Chael.
And this dude trains at the fucking Y in Batavia.
Small world.
Just
You
dude.
know
he
how that
looked
fight
like-
ended though with
You never
Chael?
know.
Didn't John Jones have a broken toe?
He might have broken his toe. John Jones has
How did that
fought
fight
through a
end?
lot of. He knocked him the fuck out. But
This
he hit
dude
him.
was
he,
his
he
Muay
just-
Thai coach. His
He
first
elbowed.
striking
He
coach.
elbowed him though. I mean, I think he actually. What did he do? He might have I don't know if it was a series of elbows or if it was a knee to the sternum that did it. But he dropped Sonnen. my favorite one is actually when he choked out Machida because he had him standing up and just basically had a standing guillotine, and all of a sudden the referee's like, all right, let go, he's out, and he just lets go, and Machida just drops. He's just out cold.
Yeah,
But
dude.
John Jones is a fucking savage. All right, he's in my
Pound for
opinion, if he won't get that recognition just because he hasn't been active in these last few years. But he is the best fighter I've ever watched, and I love the UFC. I'm obsessed with it. I watch essentially everything in the UFC. I love it, but like he's
obsessed. He's
I'm
obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
He doesn't ever stop talking about it, but I love it.
He's a beast, dude. He's incredible.
He's never lost.
No. Well, he has one loss by DQ. He beat himself. No one's ever beaten John Jones. John Jones has beaten John Jones. That's it. He lost.
He
the
dropped
fight,
an illegal elbow.
which is a bullshit rule.
That's how he
why
lost.
the elbow is even
Like, the person
illegal.
did
What's
knock
an
him
illegal
out.
elbow?
So he was mounted on this guy in a full mount, beating the piss out of him. The fight was going to be stopped anyway because he was just
Yeah, beat
the dude was not fighting back, and he drops a 12-6 elbow, which is considered illegal. You can throw elbows from here, anywhere, but you can't go straight down.
You can't hammer it on him.
Right, and the reason why it's illegal, at least according to why Rogan thinks it's illegal, which is ridiculous if this is true, people, when these commissions, because MMA's only been around for like 20 years, like the UFC's only been around for 20 years. So it hasn't evolved like other sports like boxing. So these commissions still really don't understand it as well. These are like boxing commissions that they brought in to understand MMA, and they're getting better, but they're not there yet. They saw people doing a 12-6 elbow, like martial artists, and were breaking like cinder blocks doing it this way. So they figured if you can do that to a cinder block, it shouldn't be done to a human skull.
Yeah. No,
Right,
fair
that's what
enough.
they're thinking. It's like, but this is no different than this, which is legal, and these guys are getting just destroyed by these elbows. And he dropped one of those, and again, the referee who actually DQ'd him has since been like banned from MMA, not because of that one, because this guy has a reputation of making awful
bad
calls.
Yeah.
He usually stops fights too late, or he's not very. Yeah, he had a bad reputation. His name was Steve Mazzagatti, and that was the guy who DQ'd him. And trust me, you watch that fight, like Jones was going to win the fight. Like he was just peppering this. This guy did not belong in the same.
Yeah.
Did
the
not
same
belong
weight
in the
class, not anything
No,
with him.
this guy
Yeah.
had no business being in there with him, and Jones just destroyed him.
So I asked the guy the question. I go, in your opinion, is Demetrius Johnson, a.k.a. Mighty Mouse, the greatest of all time? And he goes, yes. He goes, pound for pound, absolutely.
I don't like it. I don't agree with that. I completely disagree. And the reason why I disagree is, I mean, I get why he would say that because technically, like, the dude has essentially no flaws in his game. He's great on the ground. He's so well-rounded. Like, he has no true flaw. Like, he can go anywhere. Problem for me is you cannot tell me someone who weighs 125 pounds is the greatest of all time. I don't care what you mean pound for pound. The guy does not face as much danger as somebody like John Jones at 205 pounds. The power is very real, the difference in a 125-pound person punching you versus a 205-pound person punching you. There's just there's just a difference. You're more in danger of getting knocked out when there's those guys around. John Jones has been stunned before. He's almost been put out. He almost was finished by, he ended up beating Vitor Belfort, who had him in an armbar. He literally broke his fucking arm in the fight. Jones fought through it and beat him with a broken arm. This happened in the first round of a 5-round fight. And he ended up, and by the way, he ended up stopping Vitor, by the way. He didn't just ride it out. Like, he ended up beating him by knockout. So he fought this dude on a broken arm. Armbar. Like he said, you could hear it pop. And Vitor eased up a little bit because he thought he broke his arm, it was gonna be over. And he's like, no, he kept slamming him with the fucking broken arm. Just out an armbar, just kept slamming the dude until he let go. With a broken arm. The dude's an animal. And then you look at the Gustafsson fight. He peppers his face there, and there was times where
That was a good
still
fight.
to this day believe Gustafsson beat him. I still think that loss should have went. John Jones should have lost that fight. It was very close, but I think Gustafsson got him.
And the other thing that he said that I know.
With that said, you didn't truly beat the champ, so I get why you give it to the champ. But
And the other thing, I know you're gonna disagree, and I'm just
But
saying this because I
why
like
they say
to.
it for DJ, because technically, dude, he is maybe the all around with his technique and everything. He is the most skilled that we've seen. I don't mind that. I just don't. You're having a hard time convincing me 125 pounds.
Yeah.
I get the whole
No,
pound for pound, that's what that means. Essentially, if he was, but that, I just think I don't agree. I don't think just because you can do that at 125 pounds, in theory, if you're like 185, you were going to be able to do the exact same things.
I agree. I think John Jones is the greatest, but the other. So
Well,
I'm
could be the
I'm
greatest.
just saying
Could
what
be. I
I'm
wouldn't
just
even call
saying
him the
what
greatest,
this
just
guy was
because-
telling me.
Yeah.
And the other thing he said too
Because they
was
love technique. It's a
people
jiu-jitsu guy,
say-
so he's going to love the technical aspects of it because that's what jiu-jitsu is. And he's very technical.
he said
Shout out to Uke.
you what's up, buddy? He also said that he was like, oh, people say that that division just sucks, and he's just okay, but that division sucks. He's like, no, that division's good. He's just that good. And I didn't know what to say to that. I don't know enough about it, but that was what this guy says.
I disagree. I don't think the division's as deep as he's saying it is. It's not that they're bad. They're good fighters. It's just it's not as deep. They don't put these guys in as much. They don't have that kind of firepower. The last time Demetrius Johnson lost, it was to Dominic Cruz, which is only 10 more pounds than him. This will be the real test. When he fights Dillashaw, we're going to see. To me, this will prove whether or not. I don't think he's beating Dillashaw. I think
Dillashaw's gonna murk him.
I think Dillashaw is going to stop him. I personally do. That might be a hot take because the dude hasn't lost in 10 years, but to me, he hasn't taken the chances like Silva did back in his day. Silva would fight all these guys, stop him. He was knocking everybody out, just front kicks, submissions, not stopping everybody. And then once he was going through the same run, unlike DJ, okay, there's no contender. I went through the division. I'm going to go fight at 205 and fight a guy. Knock him out. Come back down, defend my belt. Oh, I'm going to go fight now Stephan Bonner at 205. Another guy who had never been stopped in his career and needs him in the solar plexus, as Rogan is. You need him in the solar plexus and knocked him out. Stephan Bonner has never been stopped. And this dude's supposed to weigh like the guy weighed in at 202 pounds. Like he's not, like he has to put on weight to get up to that class. But this guy's cutting to 205. So he's weighing like 210 by the time he's actually in there. You know what I mean? Because it's water weight that these guys are cutting. So, like, dude, I don't know. I think Dillashaw is going to murk him. I think he is. I hope he does. I want him to.
I'm pumped for some of the fights coming up. I'm pumped for that fight. I'm pumped for Khabib, Tony Ferguson.
That's going to be the fight of the
year.
year,
I'm pumped for Cormier, fucking Stipe, man.
That'll be a super fight. And then, according to the manager, I don't know how true this is, but they think John Jones will fight again in 2018. I keep hearing that circulating. If that's true, I will be ecstatic that he came back, because as amazing as Cormier is, and he is a beast, his only two losses, it just shows how great John Jones really is. He's on a whole different. He's a different level, man. And Cormier is no joke. He's probably the. He stops.
He's up there
else.
for the GOAT. If it wasn't for John Jones,
no, he's had problems with nobody else other than John Jones.
Doesn't he have like 20 wins? This is like 18-2 or something like that.
Yeah, technically now he's like 18-1-1 because the one loss to Jones, the knockout, is considered a no contest because he tested positive for steroids after the fight, so they don't give you a loss. But we all know he got knocked out, and that was the only time he's ever been knocked out. Only time.
What happened in the other time against Jones? He got submitted.
No, he lost unanimous decision.
Oh, it went the distance.
Yeah, and I saw that fight. Well, he took more risks in this one. Okay. He stood in the pot because he knew he couldn't do that, and it was very smart of Cormier, and I think he was winning. That's the worst part by the time he got hurt. The very worst to me, it was 1-1, but an argument could be made. Cormier was up 2-0 going into that third round before he just got shinned to the cheek and was dazed and then, kicked in the stomach and he got put out.
Dude, that was nuts where he tripped over his own feet. And
yeah. It was smart. It was super smart what he did because he knew he dazed him, so you just got to get him to the ground now where he's already, losing it.
Yeah, work him in.
But to me,
beat his ass.
But he was
beat his
smart,
ass, Seabass.
Because he knew what he had
Kick
to
his
do.
ass.
It's the risk you take, but he knew, Jones has got way more reach and length on you, so you got to stand in the pocket, and you're going to take risks when you stand that close. With that said, you're going to hit him more, but you also take way more chances of getting dropped. Because the length of John Jones' elbow is the length of a normal guy's fucking punch. He has an 84-inch reach. That's absurd. That's longer than any heavyweight. The dude's reach is ridiculous. Look how long and lengthy he is.
Yeah, I'm breathing heavy.
84. I think he had 12 inches of reach on Cormier, which is insane.
No idea. I have no idea.
McGregor has a 72-inch reach. That's a good.
That's for 155. That's good.
He is long for that for his when he was fighting at featherweight. That was long. He was big for that weight class, which is why he also dominated those dudes. Well, knocked him out, and he's doing it at 155 too.
I want to see him fight Khabib.
From what I'm
but you already know what's gonna happen.
From what
Khabib
I keep,
will just eat him.
What I think. We don't know that. That's the beauty of it. You'd think he would. It would tell you the fact that he's never no one's been able to figure him out yet. Would tell you that's what he's done to everybody. But we've also seen Khabib against Michael Johnson get stunned in the stand-up. He's not that good standing up. He's okay. He's good. He's so good at wrestling and mauling you that you just don't get up once he puts you down.
I saw a video, and I don't know who it was, but who it was against. But Khabib's just got this guy up against the fence. He's just mauling him. Doing it, just ground and pound kneeing him on his knees, punching him. He goes, "Give up." Punches him. "I must be champion. You will give up. You will give up. I know you will give up. I must be champion. The belt is mine."
Yeah.
He's just saying these in this Russian accent to this dude, just saying these things, just pounding him.
Dude,
You
that-
must
Yeah,
give up.
I think it
You
was,
must
I think
give
it was
up.
Michael Jackson. They said guys like a Francis Ngannou or whatever, like these power hitters or like a Tyson, right? They'll knock you out and in ways that's almost better than what Khabib does to you, because better in the sense like you're out, but at least it's done. Khabib just consistently pounds you and breaks your will. Like, you're just getting mauled and mauled and mauled, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it, and he is just going to just break your will. Like, break your desire to even fight anymore. And that's what he does to you. It's demoralizing how he fights people. It's just demoralizing.
Pull up on the TV after. Just
Just watch UFC stuff.
Oh, he's a beast. You know who I've been watching a lot of now is actually Brian Ortega, because that dude might have the best jiu-jitsu in MMA. Next to Damian Maia, but his jiu-jitsu is incredible. You want to watch somebody with good jiu-jitsu? Watch Brian Ortega. Like, watch how he puts people away. Like, watch his transitions. It's incredible how he sweeps and how he gets into like dominant positions against guys that are also Brazilian black belts. Like, because he's under Hunter Gracie.
Yeah.
And he's incredible with what he does. I mean, he's getting better at his stand-up, but his ground game is incredible, especially off of his back. That's what he's really good at. His nickname's T-City for Triangle City. Like, his signature is a triangle choke. He's landed he landed like a flying guillotine against a top 4 guy in the featherweights. Like, he's gonna fight Frankie Edgar coming up, and basically the winner of that.
Did you see what McGregor posted about fighting Frankie Edgar?
Yeah, he said that he tried to chime in. The problem, I could see why they would say no, that they're not going to have that. Not because he couldn't beat Frankie. I think he murks Frankie personally. But
What does Frankie Edgar weigh?
he's 145. He's a featherweight. It would have been his weight class before he won the belt. But Frankie, the problem is because he's got the belt, and it's like, well, if you can come back and fight that guy, why aren't you defending it against the interim champion Tony Ferguson? Like, it would just cause too much controversy. I think they would think it would show favoritism for McGregor.
Yeah,
which
but
I think is
he never
happening,
lost
and
the
I
belt
love
though.
McGregor.
But he never lost the belt.
No, but then why are you fighting? Like, why is he stepping up and fighting him and not fighting in his own division is what they're saying. Like, you should be able to fight Tony, who's totally fine, and is the interim champion and unify the belt, or fight Khabib. Or
I
fight the
agree.
winner. That's,
I don't.
That's the problem the
yeah,
UFC's
we'll,
pointing.
we'll just don't even fucking have the interim champion. That's why I think it's dumb as fuck.
I agree.
But I
don't
do
like
agree
it,
that
but-
he does need to fight if he's gonna be champ, because he needs to vacate that shit if not.
Yeah, I love McGregor. I do. I love what he was part of the reason why I started even watching to begin with, just because
Me too.
he's a beast, and he knocks, like, just the whole aura around him. Like, I'm gonna knock this guy out in this round, and then he did it. Like, he's like, oh shit, like, this is what you want to see, is a guy who can do that. Until he ran into Nate Diaz, who's just like, watch this, who has an iron chin, never gets knocked out. I think he's only been knocked out once, and that was at least in the UFC. And even then, that was just a straight up shin to the forehead. Like, that was a freak thing. Same thing like Cormier, like, dips down but thinks it's going to the body, and it's really not, because they can't tell, and it goes up and hits you in the head. He's just,
It's like getting
Boom,
kicked
just
by
out.
John Jones with a shin is like getting hit by a baseball bat.
oh yeah,
You better get hit by a fucking baseball bat. So it's like when John Jones kicks you.
yeah. Cormier got it right on the cheek from a John Jones shin, just bang.
Brutal.
Smacked.
No,
But
Like, afterwards, dude, he was like,
Those guys are
he was concussed, man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
crying and
Concussed.
stuff,
he
dude.
shouldn't have
was-
interviewed him, and Rogan said that
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
Like, that was a big
Messed up,
mistake.
man.
No, for sure, you should not talk to people who just got knocked out like that. Like, you don't know
He's
what's
not,
going
you can't
on.
talk. Yeah,
No,
he's not able.
You're suffering some trauma, man. You just got knocked out. Like,
Some CTE.
yeah, you're definitely, you just got knocked out.
CTE. Football players, man. We've talked about that.
My buddy worked on that study. You know, like the whole thing. with the
No
movie?
way.
Yeah,
Really?
He did the research.
I haven't
on the
actually
brain-
seen the
on
movie,
brain
but I've heard
scans.
good things about it.
Like, you looked at all the brain splicings.
How
and
do you know
stuff
his
like
kid's
that.
school?
Yeah.
Rockport?
No, Rochester, University of Rochester. Dude worked right with that lead guy who was in the movie.
Oh, yeah, you went to U of R, that's right.
Yeah, still there.
One of the best schools in the country. It doesn't get the recognition
Fancy.
it deserves, to be honest.
U of R is a great
I don't
school.
understand.
U of R's, dude, U of R is like
It's
top
medical school out.
top 50 history school in the world.
Really, we were top 7 finance school.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. But
I could see that. No, U of R is a great school.
for how much money
No
I
way,
pay,
no way around that.
Dude, the baseball field's beautiful. Division 3
Beautiful.
baseball field.
dude, you want to know what we are
Dude,
really
their
good at?
soccer team, which is what, still D3, right? Beat just, I guess, absolutely demolished ours, which is Division I in a scrimmage. Like just well, they're like one of the best D3 like soccer schools in the country. But still, it's like, bro, isn't there supposed to be levels to this? Like you're a D1 school and you got peppered by a D3 school. Like
I bet the best D3 baseball teams, like if you took like top 5, top 10 baseball
they're
teams,
taking out some
I bet
D1
they
teams.
could take.
Yeah.
I bet they could take some D1 teams. I really-
some of them, yeah, maybe some.
Men's basketball team could beat a D1 women's basketball team, like a good one.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
My brother said when he was in college, he said he thinks his D3 basketball team could beat a D1 women's basketball.
Probably. I mean, D1 women's basketball, it's still
Really good.
Oh, they're good. Like I played, so we tried. We played a 2-on-2 game, which just wasn't fair at all. It was me and my roommate against Emily, this girl named Emily, who was just a sharpshooter. You want to talk about a girl that you can't leave open? She's gonna drill it in your mouth every time, and I mean like beyond NBA range, just buries everything. And her partner was. What the hell is his name? But he plays pro ball in Canada now. He was a D1 player for Canisius.
You guys got whooped on.
Oh no! We got smacked.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we beat him the first game, which was incredible because first of all, the guy wasn't trying, and Emily, just wasn't. You made her drive to the hole, and she was missing some shots there. But like, you leave her open, or even contest it, put a hand in her face, she's still burying it. She's incredible, but great shooter. But anyway, John almost got put on a fucking poster. It was hilarious because she threw it, swung it to him, and he was under the hoop, and I could just see him like, oh no! Like he gets in, he's just like measuring him up. I'm like, he's gonna dunk it, and he goes up, and instead of throwing it, and I mean, he went right over my roommate, but he was nice enough to just lay it in. He easily could have done it, but he just lays it up. He went over. I'm like, you're lucky that he is as nice as he is because he almost got put on a poster. Like, what are you doing standing on the block? Or right underneath the block in the paint with a dude who's got hops. Like, you're going to get dunked on.
Yeah, you can't body him
No,
up.
it's a mistake.
Like, that was
Can't
one of the
body
things
him
I
up.
figured out very quickly when I went to Canisius when we would play. Like, you think that we play against, like, kids that are good in, like, high school, and then we played with Lou Dunbar, whose dad is Sweet Lou Dunbar, Hall of Famer for the Harlem Globetrotters, and got drafted to the Mavericks in the ABA days in the 70s, but chose not to play for him. Like, it's like, okay, and that kid was just gross. Like, he was just toying with, like, fake pads, like, just the stuff he does. And another kid comes up to him during the game, like, after the game's over, who can, like, you can dunk, right? But Luke can dunk. Like, he can just jump, like, 6'3" with just ridiculous hops.
Damn it.
And goes, I'm challenging you to a dunk contest right now. And Lou looks at him dead in the eye and just goes, you don't want that. I promise you don't want that. So what does the kid do? The one kid goes up and does like just like a nice like simple like goes up, maybe one hand like throws it down. Lou goes up, throws it off the backboard, just grabs it, just slams it. First one. Kid goes up again, misses the next dunk. Lou goes up, 360 spin, just throws it down. And the kid was about to go up again. His friend goes, you're going to try and dunk again? You can barely, like, really, like, you can dunk, but not, like,
You can't, like,
you're not, like, floating like this kid is in the air. Like, what are you doing? Like, it just goes to show, like, there's levels to this. Like, this,
There's levels.
No,
and even
college
then,
is
that's
crazy
just
different.
Canisius
Yeah.
D1. Like,
No.
not even to mention the guys at Duke who are going,
Yeah.
like, division, like, you're going first overall, like Bagley or
Yeah.
Trey Young. Like, and I mean, like, just watch how the ball is shot and how it goes in. Like, you see in high school, you see, like, a swish. No. College guys that nail it hit the bottom of the net. Like, it doesn't just go in and switch. Like, it hits the bottom of the net. Like, it doesn't even hit anything until the bottom of the hoop. It's like, okay, you really just...
You nailed that.
You just nailed that shot. Like, you could not be more precise with that shot.
Junior year sectionals in the quarterfinals, we played Bishop Kearney. And on that team, they had Antoine Anderson, who's currently playing at UConn.
Yeah, grad transfer, yeah.
Thomas Bryant, he played at Fordham before, then he played at UConn.
Right.
Thomas Bryant now is on the Lakers. I watched the Lakers game last night. He got played.
Yeah, he got drafted.
Nice.
He got drafted by him.
Wow.
Yeah, him. They also had Chinoso Oboko, who went to Cuse and then eventually Bonaventure because he lost a year of eligibility because, like, a lot of problems with people that come from, they just don't know how old he was. He was from Africa, and they thought they knew his age, but they found out how old he actually was. He's actually 42. But no, they don't know how old he was.
Dude was
$20 with a birth
27.
certificate.
I am Carlos from Benchwarmers.
They had
I am
Chinoso. They had
Carlos.
Thomas Bryant, who ended up
Drinking
going
on
to a
the
prep
mountain.
school, went to Indiana, and now is on the Lakers. It's like, Jesus Christ.
He's
He
on
had
the Lakers?
Yeah,
Chinsu?
Thomas Bryant.
Oh.
No, Chinoso,
Chinsu.
he didn't.
Jesus. Chinoso.
Yeah,
Culture
Zach's racist as
appropriation.
fuck. No, Chinoso Aboka.
Jack.
And then they had another kid, right? What was his name? God's Power, God's Gift, or whatever. Like, yeah.
I worked with his brother.
I don't think he was that great at basketball, but
I
yeah.
worked with
Gift.
he plays over.
God's
plays
Gift.
overseas.
Yeah.
What's his name? God's
Well, it's
gift.
from
He
his
plays
Africa.
overseas
He's
now.
from Africa. God's Gift. That's like whatever his name translated to was God's Gift.
It's like Geronimo or
I know that guy.
Crazy
He
Horse
lives-
or
Crazy Legs. No.
No, but he plays overseas. That God's Gift guy.
Does he?
we're
Yeah,
gonna see
yeah, I
you
worked
played
with his
overseas in the men's soccer league in Europe.
My legs.
Billy
Whatever
Gone.
happened, dude?
My
This
legs-
dude used to boot the
My
ball.
legs are
This
gone.
dude, this dude was good
soccer
soccer player.
player? Yeah.
Good. Like
I wasn't allowed to play in gym class.
no,
I
really. He
literally
would,
wasn't allowed.
I
to
would play goalie and he would like fuck around and just like kind of boot one at me. And dude, I used to play catcher. Like I'll wear a baseball. I'd rather wear a baseball than wear those fucking soccer balls, dude. That shit hurts.
Yeah, like at one
That
point
shit
I was
hurts
just not
your
allowed.
hands.
So I used to play like Brasky would let me play goalie. He's like, you can't play the field, you can play goalie. And it was against Alex Ineta. He was in the other goal. And so I'm scoring from goal to goal. Just ripping him.
Dude.
And Ineta is pissed, dude. Ineta's running up, throwing the ball at me and shit. He's like, you suck, dude. I'm like, I'm sorry, man.
We used to go play we used to play softball over at the prep field.
Yeah.
And he would make me bat lefty.
Yeah, Brasky.
He'd make me bat lefty, and then when we go to Little League, he'd make me bat lefty too. He'd be like, all
I
right.
ripped a couple shots at Brasky when he was pitching during softball. I always felt real bad about it. I hit him in the.
The dude that hit my dad with the ball.
Dude hit your dad
Dude,
with the ball.
Wayne, dude. All right, so
A guy
I
who
gotta
hit,
tell the story. This story's
no,
hysterical.
Coach Brasky. with
Yeah,
the ball.
shout out to Coach Brasky.
So we want to make sure you guys can obviously hear this.
Best baseball coach I ever had, but then he gave birth to Jake Brasky. Well, he helped give birth to Jake Brasky.
He helped give birth. He was
so-
part of the team.
Dude,
that
He's
gave
part of the
birth.
squad.
He actually, I came out of there.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why he's so good at sports.
So my freshman year, we're trying out for JV baseball, and there was this kid, and he was a sophomore, and he was trying out, and he really wasn't that good, and he was playing first base, and I was playing first base. And another kid that we grew up with, Trevor Plone, he was playing first base.
Oh, okay.
So
that guy.
it was so Blaine had just caught the ball, or maybe it was hit off the net. Maybe it was a bad throw, or he didn't really catch it or whatever. But he throws it into the catcher, right? And we're in the gym, so it's not a lot of room. And first base is over there. Brett Sherline's the catcher standing here.
Yeah. You got it in the mic, man. Yeah,
Sorry.
no one will be able to hear you.
All right. So if let's say 30 feet over that way is first base.
Yeah.
Brett Sherline's standing here, and Coach Brasky's on the right side of him because he's a lefty. He's like hitting from the lefty's box. And Blaine picks up the ball and throws it in, and just dots Coach Brasky right in the side. Like just
no.
dots him. Dude, he was so mad. He just screams, "Jesus Christ, Blaine!" Dude, we were all trying not to laugh so hard.
Jesus Christ.
Me and Tommy P still talk about that to this day, dude.
That's awesome. That's so
Jesus Christ, Blaine. He was so mad, dude. That was the first time I'd ever like been on a team that he had like yelled at.
But you know what's funny?
He's
Like,
different with
about,
baseball.
like how crazy then there's like different levels. It's like you're good for like playing in high school, like and then you see a dude like Ronaldo and like how his speed is
Yeah.
like when he boots a ball, it's like whoa.
Dude, I've played
Or,
against
like,
a couple,
Messi. It's just like, whoa.
professional dudes and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
I've played like with dudes who played in the FA Cup, and which isn't that impressive because there's a lot of people that play in the FA Cup, and like there is different levels to some
It's just
stuff, dude.
insane how
Like,
good
it's
There's levels to
crazy.
these things.
Like when they
Like
have the
good,
ball
like-
like on a string, like
Yeah.
when they just can feel it, it's insane.
Like, dude, there's
I just love the way how those guys can like hook it, like how they when they shoot.
Bend
it
it?
looks like it's going
Yeah.
completely right. All of a sudden, it just goes perfectly top
Yeah,
shot.
I used to be
whoa.
able to do knuckleball, so you hit it like on the valve, and the ball just goes like this.
Yeah.
and then it'll just drop in like certain directions. I don't know, man.
wonder how it got that name.
That day.
Yeah, the knuckleball from baseball.
Is
Yeah.
there another sport that has knuckleball?
Actual
or something?
knuckleball.
Oh, it is. Okay. Weird.
But just different levels to all of it.
You
Like you're a
stickball?
good pitcher like in high school, and then you see like in the MLB, and these dudes are all chucking mid-90s at least if you're gonna make it like as a starting pitcher.
Dude, when I was in high
With
school,
insane
I threw
precision.
upper 70s, maybe touch 80 once in a while, like my senior
If you're
year.
feeling it.
Dude, in high school, blew people away.
Yeah.
Blew people away.
Yeah. You can't take that to
Went to college.
Yeah.
I throw that same pitch. People are hitting it off the wall,
Yeah.
if not over the wall. Like I got taken yard in practice plenty of times when I was a freshman. Like that's just how it goes.
It's different levels to it, and then you see the dudes in the MLB that are just not even in the minor leagues that are gonna take
Yeah.
that with a wooden bat and be like, yeah, Yeah, you want to throw that there? I'll check swing and this thing will go over the fence just because they're ridiculous.
Johnny Polonis, one of the original guys that Skip Sherman brought over from Curacao.
Yeah.
He's playing shortstop, and there was a Red Scout there, and there were some college coaches there. But Skip had like a showcase in high school, and Adam Pratt was pitching, and it was Adam Pratt's freshman year of college, and Johnny Polonis was still on the GCC team, and he's actually in the AAA team for the Giants right now.
Oh wow.
Dude's dirty. Disgusting.
Clearly, if you're in
And
AAA baseball, you're disgusting.
And Adam Pratt, big lefty, he threw hard, mid-80s for sure.
Yeah.
Mid-80s for sure. I actually heard he even got up a little higher to like higher 80s after that. But anyway,
He told me before he said he had to really be feeling it, but he's touched 90 when he was like really feeling it.
I
and
believe
touched
it. I believe it. If he worked on his mechanics, and he did the things Skip
I mean,
taught him
obviously
to, I
had
believe.
the arm problems too, the Tommy
Because
John,
he was
but-
he was in high school throwing like 83, 84. Like he threw hard in high school. But anyway, so Adam was throwing hard and was blowing people away, and Johnny steps up with a wood bat in October when the air is dead.
Yeah.
Your hands are cold. It's hard to hit a ball with a metal bat, let alone a wood bat, and just murks it over the pine trees, over the fence, 400 feet, dead center. Like this ball went 450 easily, just murked it. And my dad was there, and he's over in the stands, like 40 feet down the sideline, and I just look over at him, and he looks over at me, and we're just shaking our head, like, that was some
Different
pro
level.
shit.
Yeah.
That was some pro shit right there.
Yeah.
Just murked.
Or even that kid, what went to, what was it, Brighton or whatever? Now he went, and then he won a national championship.
Ernie
his freshman
Clementi?
year. Clementi, yeah.
And he had like the second highest average on the team, if not, or the highest. He was a second baseman. Yeah, dude, I played against him
freshman.
my
He
junior.
started as a true freshman.
Played against him my junior year. He went like 4 or 5 with like 3 triples off of us.
Just different level, like how good he is. And I know he's in the pros now too.
Is he?
Yeah.
He got drafted.
Yeah, he did. He's somewhere.
I played against him. I played against Grant Hyman,
Guy from Irondequoit.
Cito Culver.
Oh, yeah.
Cito Culver.
Yeah.
He was older.
Or what's his name from Sutherland there?
Grant Hyman.
Grant Hyman,
Well, he went to Miami.
Yeah.
He went to Miami and was a starting center fielder, but he got drafted out of high
And I
school.
know he's playing in a farm system in the pros. I saw like a tweet like he had like out there like recently, I think, and I know like he said like
No,
like,
he
on
was
the
good.
tweet like in his bio you could see like he's. Still,
I mean, there
like,
was
in the farm
definitely
system.
dudes, and I played first base.
And
so
then again, there's even levels for them. It's like, oh shit, now you're going against like some of the best
Yeah.
baseball players in the world that are all just as good.
The only
and,
high
like,
school
not
games
way better than you.
The only high school games for Batavia that I was at where pro scouts came were games where we played Sutherland my junior year, specifically because of Grant Hyman.
Yeah.
And I've had people, Euclid, leave him
I'm
alone.
gonna take this dog, dude.
He's a good dog.
This is the payment for me coming on this thing. I'm taking your dog.
Not my beer.
No,
No,
I mean,
the
your
beer's not.
whatever.
The
That's
beer,
a given.
The beer, yeah.
But he was the only person I was ever terrified of smoke, because he was a lefty, just smoking a ball at me. Like I literally said, like there were people where I was like, wow, I'm gonna take a step back, and I hope I wear this, or I hope I stop it.
Dude, can I take a piss during these things?
We're about to call it. But dude, he would fucking murk this ball so fast. You wouldn't even see the ball.
Dude, I've seen like
Yeah.
I've seen dudes like be able to kick the ball like I forget what Ronaldo kicks it. I think it's like 80 miles per hour.
Dude,
Which is just absurd. Yeah, good luck getting hit in the dome with that. Like, you got to have your head on a swivel. That's like dangerous.
Messi kicked
Yeah,
the ball.
that's
and go-
concussion.
Yeah, Messi kicked the ball, went over the
maybe death if it
crossbar.
hits you in the temple. Like if you're not paying attention, that thing drills you. Like,
Dude, Messi has like broken people's arms, dude.
Yeah,
like in the
I believe
stands,
it.
like he kicks it over the post. Girl in the stands, like not paying attention, smacks her in the forearm, breaks her arm.
I believe it. No, these dudes are well. And I mean, granted, we're just listing maybe like the best two.
Yeah, the
soccer
two best,
players
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
all
yeah.
time.
But still, it can be done.
Yeah.
It's in the human
Yeah.
realm of things. It's been done.
Yeah, it
If
just
they're
goes to
doing
show
that.
like how high that level has been
Yeah.
reached now. I mean, those are the two that have gone back and forth, winning like the player of the
Ballon
year.
d'Or
Yeah,
every
the player of
single
the
year.
year.
It's the two of them.
That's who our next guest is going to be.
You know what's funny as hell
Lionel Messi.
though? Whenever you try to get like American like soccer
know,
players, like or players that play in America, like the MLS All Stars versus like an actual like club. It's like no, you have to take the best player in that league, and you're still probably gonna
Yeah,
lose.
like the All Stars versus like Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. Like against the club, it's just like, no, you're not gonna take
no.
one. You're not taking the Galaxy against them. You're taking the best.
The best of all.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
you know
even
what
then, they don't win normally.
Well,
right?
our problem is
Yeah.
we don't have the academy system. Like
Yeah.
that's why Europe is so good. Is because like they'll see like a Messi at 7 years old, be like, "You're good enough. This is your life now. You are an academy player. You will play pro."
Yeah, your
someday."
potential is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it's like the
It's
European
completely
League and the NBA, or like dude. I bet the minor leagues in America. You take like the pro baseball league somewhere else, like in South Korea
And
or
whoop
like
on. Yeah.
Japan, like they put a beat.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes it would go the other way.
Yeah.
yeah, it just depends. I mean, obviously, well, the NBA it's a whole different. Like the NBA consistently, they just fucking almost everybody.
Any team that has
Right.
LeBron
Like,
is
if
going
you,
to win.
if you take
So
the NBA,
let's
if you
just
take
leave
the
that.
NBA,
LeBron.
an NBA All-Star team, yeah, and put them up against put them against another team in Europe, they're gonna smoke them. But like if you're gonna go, I mean, the only time that they even see like maybe a struggle is in the Olympics, and even then they usually just smoke teams, smoke them in the Olympics.
I was listening to Part of My Take, and they had shout out to another podcast. I was listening to Part of My Take, and they had a NASCAR guy on there, and he's like, "There's no other sport NASCAR he's talking about. No other sport where on any given day you might beat me." He's like, "On any given day, I might chip better than Tiger, and I might beat him on a hole, or like something along those lines." But like he said, like racing, you'll never beat me in racing. Which I don't know. Do you guys think that like there's
like
a
me
sport
personally,
like that?
or
Right,
like yeah.
I mean, like on any given day, you guys might be able to beat like Tiger on a hole, or like something along those lines. You might be able to make more baskets than somebody.
Like I might make a putt over him. I don't even know.
You know what I mean?
Well, it depends on who I'm. Me?
yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
what? Like
maybe.
on like. I don't know.
I would argue that basketball, there's no way in hell that I'm gonna on any given day.
Beat like a LeBron.
There's no
Ever,
way I'm.
right?
Ever.
There's
No.
no
LeBron would
way.
skunk me. I wouldn't.
There's
come
no way
close.
I'm
if I could
striking
dribble more than 2 dribbles
Yeah.
without him stealing. Like
There's
I'm at his
no-
mercy.
Dude, you just can't
I'm
strike
at
out,
his
like,
absolute
you know,
will. Like if
Trout
Michael
or
There's,
Jordan.
there's
is-
no
yeah.
way I'm striking out Mike Trout or Bryce Harper. They're gonna hit that ball either through my head or
Yeah.
400 feet over the fence.
10 times.
Whether I throw a slider, a changeup, or a fastball, or curveball, they're either not gonna swing at it or they're gonna hit it 500
these
feet.
people-
Or you're gonna
lives,
walk
man.
him. Like you're
Like,
not
dude,
gonna-
like,
yeah.
like, let alone because those people make adjustments. That's what makes them great. Like a quick story. Why I said earlier, they're gonna hit the ball off the fence off me when I went to
Yeah.
college. So this kid who played center field, who hit the farthest ball I've ever seen later in that year, in the fall, he was a senior. He was a captain. His name was Mike Pizzone. Shout out to Mike. He's the one going to chiropractic school in Palmer.
Oh,
with Noah.
For Noah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
but little short Italian guy, 5'6", just a gorilla, just built,
Okay.
hairy,
Yeah.
just Mike Pizzone, Italian guy from the fucking mountains in Italy. Not actually, but that's what he fucking looked like.
Corleone.
So I throw him a
He looks like he's from
fastball.
Sicily.
So I throw him a fastball in the inner part of the plate. He's a righty. Just fucking whiffs on it.
Yeah.
Just fucking. That guy, he just must have swung over or under. Like I kind of blew it by him, but I didn't blow it by him.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, like I'm gonna gas him
got
up. I'll
this
gas
guy.
him up
Yeah.
again. I'll throw it outside. I'll gas him up again. Because I'm a hot shot freshman, and
You're a tough
coaches
guy
are
then.
sucking my
Yeah,
dick just like the other 21 freshmen. It's because all 22 are gonna stay. Not, but I throw the same pitch, missed my spot a little bit, but kind of put it where I wanted to, and he hit a laser dotted it off the center field fence where it said 400 feet. Just dotted it, hit a double,
mid-game
and I was just, and he's a D3 guy. You know what I mean? Like people like Bryce Harper, he's gonna make that adjustment. He's gonna hit that
Bryce
ball
Harper was a
500 feet.
freaking prodigy and is playing, minor. They're trying to get him to graduate high school early, and they did. And then he goes to, junior college just to get his way up to being 16 and like in the minor leagues.
He's
essentially.
17 playing in one of the
Wait,
best
how old was
JUCO. He was 17 playing in one of the best JUCO leagues in the country. He graduated high school 16.
I don't even know if he.
Just for
I don't even know if
baseball,
he did. I don't even think he graduated. I think he got his GED.
Well, okay, that's
Yeah.
what I meant. He got
Yeah.
a GED at 16.
Just so he could get out of
And then
there
he played,
quicker and go
he played
play
either
JUCO.
1 year or
Yeah.
2 years of JUCO in one of the best leagues in the country out in Las Vegas.
At a super young age, yeah. Like
At 17.
wait,
he was supposed to be a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And then he goes,
then after that
gets
he won.
drafted first overall to the Nationals that year, and then he just goes through their system. And now look at him; he's a fucking savage.
we know
He's
you got
one-
to take a leak. It was a good conversation, man.
Yeah,
Anything-
absolutely.
Anything to say?
No.
You wore that fucking Yankee. You got to stop sitting in the middle. I'm sitting in the middle
Listen,
next time.
go Yankees.
Fuck this Yankees
Fuck
shit.
the Red Sox.
Fuck this Yankee
They
shit.
think they got JD Martinez, and all of a sudden they have a
Oh,
decent-
here we go.
There's
I
something.
forgot that the Yankees got God. Who they got? Yeah, Jesus is playing right field for the Yankees this year. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Aaron
Stanton
Judge.
or
They got Aaron
Judge? Judge is a beast.
Jesus is playing third base. Sorry, it's the only guy they don't have. Jesus Christ.
Don't worry, we'll get Machado. We'll get Machado. We got Gleiber
Yeah.
coming up. Although they have Andujar trying to play a little bit there, I think he's better than people give him credit for. The guy didn't play a whole lot in the MLB, and even then he went
We'll see
3
how
for 5.
Aaron Boone
one game
does.
out
We'll see how Aaron Boone
there.
does.
We'll see.
You guys should just do a sports podcast.
Sports one. Just the problem with
sports.
I love talking about sports, but the thing
you
is,
can do a
is
UFC one.
that-
You guys easily.
There's
Yeah.
nothing me and him can talk about sports that we haven't talked about.
The problem with sports,
up with
I
the news.
love talking about
stuff
sports,
every day.
but the thing is, ESPN, like it's such a saturated market
Yes,
to me.
it
Put your
is.
own spin on it, man.
How you gonna
Could.
find out?
Like the only way I'd want to put a spin on it is
An
make it
insider.
like a comedy, like make it funny. But that's kind of what part of my take is now. It's just like, and that's a big one, I mean, don't get me wrong. We do a sports when people want to talk sports. I love talking about it, but it's just
Everybody does it.
everybody does it. It's like what's going to separate people? Yeah,
That's what we wanted
that's
to
our
do
that's
for
what we're trying to
everything.
get after. Yeah, we talk about a little bit of everything,
General
but
conversations.
But yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, the UFC. I don't think I talk about it a lot on here, have I?
That was only episode 11.
Yeah.
But dude, no lie.
Well, you
for
know,
about
I'm
a
waiting. I'm
year-
waiting for certain guests that I know are also just as into it as me that we're gonna have on and talk to them about
For
it.
about a
There's
year
one
now?
guest in particular that I know loves the UFC like I do, or at least close to as I do, and I'm not gonna mention it on here.
Yeah,
but
we'll talk about it
Jesus.
after.
We'll talk about it.
Ooh, the
Yeah.
tease.
No,
Little
we're putting that
suspense.
one up though. What was that one earlier? The joke.
Oh,
That's gonna be
the
a
preview?
promo. No, that's a promo. We're gonna
Tease the
cut
hooker
that out.
joke.
The hooker.
You're gonna
like,
cut-
oh, we gotta watch this. What did he? What did he
Cut
just?
that
guys
out
into hookers?
and email it to me.
Michaels and hookers. Yeah, that'll be our headline. Michaels ...
Hooker?
Hookers? Question mark. Winky face.
We're gonna cut that out and
Go
send
to
it to
Europe
me.
over the summer. I might.
Hey,
have to see if
free
that joke
spirit.
works.
Free love.
All
All
right.
right,
We're
episode
signing out here.
episode 11. Check us out. Keep watching our other episodes. Share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff.
Love you guys.
Shout out to Tyler Michaels.
Tyler Michaels.